Hey, what's going on, folks? We have a great show for you today. So first, we're going to talk about the Chinese spy balloon a little bit more. Is it a distraction? I think everybody knows we're being lied to, but we can't figure out what the lie is. We'll talk about that a little bit before going to the second story about Andrew Tate, famous online influencer who's one of the most successful people on the internet, only to end up in a Romanian prison. Now, regardless of what you think about Andrew Tate, this Daily Mail article says that even though the quote-unquote victims do not see themselves as victims and are saying that they're fine, it seems like the Romanian court is trying to rule that they were brainwashed, and their own opinion about their own experiences with the Tate brothers doesn't matter. Wow. We're gonna read that article and take a look at that. And thirdly, Laura Loomer recently brought to light that the Babylon Bee was paid over $20,000 by some sort of PAC that backs Ron DeSantis after a Babylon Bee article came out mocking Trump, essentially pointing some of the blame for the vaccine narrative to Ron DeSantis. Now, what's going on there? What did they get paid for? What are they saying they got paid for? And what do I think about it? We'll get into that for the third story. Hope you stay tuned for all of it. The show starts now.
The Dream Rare Podcast, welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. So we got three stories. We're going to talk quickly about the Chinese spy balloon. Then we're going to get into this Daily Mail story about women who worked for Andrew Tate. If you guys don't know, we'll get into that story later. Huge influencer, inspiring a lot of men, is now in a Romanian prison. And apparently the judges are ruling that even though the women say they weren't victims and they were doing it willingly, that they're brainwashed. And so it makes it still wrong. We're going to get into that. And then thirdly, Laura Loomer has endorsed Donald Trump. She's back on Twitter. She despises Ron DeSantis. And she found, I guess, a link between the Babylon Bee and Ron DeSantis, that they were paid to basically write jokes for him. And, you know, that's making a lot of people wonder if, you know, they're going to start backing DeSantis and putting out more stories against Trump. We're going to get into all that. That's the third story, perhaps the most interesting one, so I hope you stay tuned. Let's start with the Chinese spy balloon real quick, because obviously it's like a cat with a laser pointer. They're like, here, this is the story. We all kind of chase it. It's kind of like the moon and space. Everybody knows that we're being lied to some extent. Like, you listen to Don Pettit of NASA, he'll be like, we used to have the technology, but we destroyed it, and it's a painful process to build back again. Maybe that's true. Most people think it's not true, but everyone has their own theory of why we might be lied to or why that's a piss poor excuse. It's kind of like this Chinese spy balloon. Everybody, it seems like, besides maybe like Democrats who are like, Dark Brandon, Joe Biden. It's like, you know, there's a very small percentage of people like, oh man, that was exactly what we needed to do, man. We're sticking it to China, bro, Dark Biden. You know, most people are like, all right, we're being lied to. Something doesn't seem to add up, because first of all, they said that they waited until it went into the ocean to shoot it down because they didn't want to hurt civilians. Yet they let it float across the whole country, Montana, Middle America. In my opinion, I mean, I'm not an expert on shooting down balloons, obviously, but I would think that there's some part of America that's pretty rural that it could be shot down without really risking any lives. That's personally what I believe, but you know, that doesn't sound true to me. That we got to wait till it's in the ocean to save lives. You know, God, I mean, it floated across the whole country. I would think that there was a place they could have downed it with no people. Half the country is pretty much open, so I don't believe that. Now they're trying to say that there were balloons during Trump. We downed the balloon in the water, and now China's basically saying, well, that's an escalation. We're allowed to float balloons over your country. You know, some people are saying that we do the same thing and we all spy on each other. That's part. I don't know what to believe. Let me know what you think. All I'm going to say is everybody knows to some extent that we're being lied to. What do you think the lie is? That's my question. I'll read some at the end if you repeat it later. I'll just say this. All these wars, I'm not saying we're really not at war with China and stuff, but we all depend on each other, right? China depends on us to buy its products. We depend on China to fill up half of Amazon. So this like fake fight that we're doing, like, yeah, maybe we're fighting sanctions. Oh, we're so mad, balloons, spying. I get it. You know, China's backing Iran and Russia. We're basically fighting Iran and Russia through Israel and Ukraine. I get that we're like fighting and it's a war or whatever, but how serious can the war be? It's not like it used to be back 100, 200 years ago where you're at war and then, you know, the women go to work and the men go fight and they got to do the production. Now we're so interdependent on China that I'm not saying we're not fighting them, but we can't be fighting them that hard because we're getting billions of products from them every year, or millions, I don't know how many. With Russia, I mean, a lot of Europe depends on their energy in order to heat up and function the whole country. So how hard can you really fight a country that is depending on you for money for oil and then you're basically buying it? If you get what I'm saying, it's like, yeah, we're fighting China and Russia, etc., but our countries are so interdependent. I don't really know what's going on, and I don't understand what the spy balloon distraction is, but it's clearly we're being lied to some extent. And one way or another, all of our countries work together to some extent in order to keep our countries afloat. So how much could they really be fighting if everybody's interdependent on each other? Let me know what you think. I'll read some at the end. Second story I want to talk about is pretty interesting. Andrew Tate, I'll give a quick breakdown to those who don't know. I'll try to be like as fair as I can be. So Andrew Tate is basically a former kickboxer. I believe he's a world champion to some extent. He was a good kickboxer. Kickboxing is not the most well-known fighting like UFC and other things. So even though he was like a world champion, he wasn't that well known for his fighting unless you were in kickboxing circles. I'm not taking away from what Andrew Tate did. I think he was a great kickboxer. I'm just saying he wasn't as well known as he is now. So he was a kickboxer. Then he started becoming somewhat of a influencer of like, join my team, pay my thing, and you can, we'll teach you how to be successful in life. And he became kind of like a finance guy, a fit bro, basically telling like young men, men up, you can't be soft in this world. They're trying to brainwash you, like being an average man, you're not going to be successful. So you got to like achieve. And I think a lot of those messages were great. And then on the other hand, he kind of, had an interesting past where he talked about basically bringing women to him when he was broke, and he had them doing webcam modeling, and basically he took the keyboard and was talking to the men and basically like getting millions of dollars out of men who thought they were talking to women. So, there's a lot of conservatives that love him. There's a lot of them that are skeptical of him because of his past, but he became the biggest influencer on TikTok and Facebook and everything. I mean, I don't know about Facebook, but TikTok, Instagram. And it was because he was interesting, he was kind of funny, and he was like misogynistic, quote unquote, aka he just told it like he saw it, and a lot of people gravitated towards it, and he became a phenomenon with young men. Instead of like transgendering and being like a femboy or whatever they're doing now, he was leading millions of men to like be the other way, be like tough, want a Bugatti, be like, I want to be rich, get a Bugatti, be strong, be successful. So he was kind of leading a revolution of young boys to not transgender themselves and hate themselves because of their skin color. And as soon as he got super popular, he got in a fight with Greta Thunberg. Then he got arrested by Romania. They arrested him. So what did they arrest him for? They said sex trafficking and human trafficking and all these like hyped up charges. And I always said, just to tell you real quick, I always liked Andrew Tate. I know he's not perfect. I see the flaws. I understand that there's things that he's done that I wouldn't do. And there's also things that he said that I wouldn't say. That being said, I've never been an Andrew Tate hater. I've always thought he was funny. I've always thought he was interesting. I could listen to him 3 hours on a podcast and not get bored. Like, he's really that dude, in my opinion. Like, he is interesting. People hate him. He's interesting. And if you listen to him, he's like, got good takes about COVID. He's bold and definitely like, in my opinion, he can be a little trolly. I've never disliked him. I've always liked him, and I've always listened to, like, not like religiously, but I enjoy him. I think he's one of the most interesting people, and he got famous for a reason. Now, here's that Daily Mail story. Regardless of what you think of him, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, like him, hate him, here's the story. Daily Mail said 2 women who denied being trafficked by Andrew Tate and his brother and insist they worked for him willingly are victims and have been brainwashed, Romanian judges rule. The 2 women did not recognize that they were being enslaved, the court ruled. A clinical psychologist report said that they were left traumatized and exploited. So they have these 2 women that said, we weren't trafficked, they didn't do anything illegal, we were here under our own free will, we wanted to hang out with them or work for them or whatever they were doing. And the judge said, no, you don't know what you're talking about, you're being brainwashed. I mean, this is pretty crazy in my opinion. I mean, you have, obviously, men lie and women lie, that's obvious. It's not like one gender tells the truth and one gender lies. Women lie all the time. So when it's like, oh, well, these women said this, a lot of people could say a lot of things. So I'm not even for women framing men or men framing women. And this stuff does happen. Well, there's 3 women who said the same thing. Are we going to pretend like 3 women can't lie? Oh, 3 women said the same. Millions of women lie every day, and so do millions of men. So, falsely framing someone for a heavy crime is something that unfortunately does happen in this society. And now here's like a new level to it. It's like these women aren't even trying to frame Andrew Tate. They're like, no, we're fine. We're not victims. And the judge is like, no, now that this is like the new level of framing a person, being like, even if women are on your side, we're going to say that they're too brainwashed to know how victimized they are. Let's read some of the article. 2 women who denied being trafficked by Andrew Tate and his brother, Tristan, did not understand that they were being enslaved and they had been brainwashed, a Romanian court has ruled. The 2 women both claim that they worked voluntarily for Andrew and Tristan Tate, but a report prepared by a clinical psychologist said they were left exploited and traumatized and did not recognize that they were being exploited. Andrew Tate, 36, and his brother Tristan, 34, were arrested in December on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group to exploit women. Do you notice what that says? It says on the suspicion. They were arrested on the suspicion. They don't even have actual charges to bring against them. So Romania arrested these 2 brothers who are famous online for suspicion. And now 2 of the women that say we weren't trafficked, we were here, we're fine, are like, no. You are brainwashed and traumatized. We'll tell you what to think. Crazy. The brothers and their alleged female accomplices, separate from the 2 outlined in the clinical psychologist report, appeared at a Bucharest court yesterday where the appeal against a judge's decision to extend their arrest a second time was turned down. One of the 2 women was originally from the U.S. and been attracted to Romania by Tristan Tate, the court heard. The Romanian prosecutors considered the 2 women victims of Andrew Tate and the brother, despite their claim that they worked voluntarily. The court said due to the brothers' recruitment process of making their alleged victim fall in love with them, where they falsely claimed to want a relationship or marriage, they're now basically being told that they got brainwashed. Here's something that Andrew Tate said on, I don't know how he's tweeting. Maybe somebody's tweeting for him, but he wrote this. I thought it was pretty interesting today. He said, I will update my will from prison. I will be donating $100 million to start a charity to protect men from false accusations. And here's the thing. If a man goes to court with a woman over a child, like men do not win that very often, unless the woman's like a provable crackhead or has like a lot of felonies or something. I mean, I'm just speaking loosely, but the woman, if it's an even playing field, will win usually in court against a man when it comes to child stuff. So I've posted this on Twitter and I've heard a lot of horror stories from men who just got destroyed by evil women in court. I'm not saying it doesn't go the other way around. There's evil men who hurt women in person and in court too, but men get screwed in court often. I think there's a lot of great men that have bad stories about that. With that being said, I don't care what people think about Andrew Tate. I think he's being framed here, and I think they don't have a crime, so they're just trying to basically build evidence. With that being said, I want to explain why they're in this predicament in the first place. So they ran some sort of webcam business, and in my opinion, I thought this a year ago when I first heard Andrew Tate, or months ago. I was like, I wouldn't be bragging about that publicly, bro. And I'm not saying to hide it, but he was way too proud of basically scamming people. And I thought it was not only immoral, but just a bad legal idea anyway, because I listened to him and he would be bragging about how he would scam men out of millions of dollars. Like he'd have these webcam women and, guys would be paying them, and the Tate brothers would be basically like legally pimping out the women. And then he was like, oh yeah, we'd make them pay millions. They'd think they were going to get with the chick, but they never did. So in my opinion, I don't think he should go to jail for this. And I don't think that he should, I think that they're framing him. But it's a bad move to basically just be proud of being like, yeah, I scammed a bunch of men out of money. I don't care. Haha. We tricked guys. Like, to me, it's a bold move, because I'm not saying it's illegal, but it's flirting on the lines of legality when you're basically admitting to scamming guys. Like, that, like, it's legal for women to do a webcam services. It's not, I don't know if it's legal to basically scam. Like, once you lie, and like, he was taking so much pride in all of these, like, tactics that he had with this sort of business. I always thought it was a bad move, and I think now it's biting him in the ass. With that being said, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's flawed. I don't think that they're charging these guys under true pretenses. I just think they don't like them, and they're looking for anything. That being said, I want to say also in Great Britain, they're talking about like, oh, all these young guys got brainwashed by Andrew Tate and we need to like take away their indoctrination. The truth is, although they did talk about money and Bugattis and, some things that some people would consider immoral or not good, I guess advice for young men, in my personal view, Tate and his brother were the pendulum swinging the other way from all the psychotic left-wingism. So they were creating a movement of millions of kids who didn't want to be femboys, who didn't want to transgender themselves, who didn't hate their skin color, who didn't want to be average. And they were telling them, in my opinion, the truth, which is if you're a young kid, it's not like it used to be. It's not like, oh, if you're average, life is going to be good. It should be in a perfect society, but it's not a perfect society. So if you're a guy that doesn't really try to succeed and work hard, you're gonna, life is gonna be rough. So I think the Tate brothers were giving the kids good advice. It's like, don't be pathetic. Don't be a left-wing loser. Like work hard. You know what I'm saying? Become great. Like nobody's gonna like you for being average. Like be great at something. It doesn't matter what you're great at, but just be great. You know what I'm saying? Work hard, be strong, work out. They were giving the kids an alternate out of this hellhole landscape of depression, pharmacy pills, and nonsense that the left wing is pushing on young kids. So I think that, in my opinion, if the Tate brothers were just left wing losers, they probably wouldn't be in trouble right now. I don't think the left would have, or anybody would have really cared. So although I think they did some shady stuff, I do think they're being framed. And I think they had a net positive personally. Like they want to unbrainwash people who like Andrew Tate, but they don't want to unbrainwash all the left-wing kids who are depressed and hate themselves. Like, in my opinion, Andrew is 100% right. Like, I'm not saying you have to be the top of everything. Everybody can't be the best at everything. But one thing that you can do, no matter what your job is, work ethic, passion, you know what I'm saying? Every woman is attracted to a guy that's confident. So it's better to be confident than to not be confident. Women, unfortunately, for some, are attracted to success and finance. Some of that can be shallow. Other things, it's like women want to be protected, and one way they can know you're not going to leave them in a ditch somewhere possibly is if you're financially successful. So preaching these things to kids is like, listen, don't hate yourself, don't be a beta, don't walk around and cry because of your skin color, work out, be strong, try to be successful at something. It's not the worst advice I've ever heard. So personally, like I said, I've always liked Andrew Tate. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't because it's not trendy to now, or yeah, I understand he's not the best like Christian conservative role model, but he's certainly not the worst, and he's definitely interesting, and a man who's done a lot of wild stuff. He's lived a crazy life, and I hope that justice is served. And personally, I think that justice is that they're innocent of the crimes that they're being accused of. There's a lot of people doing webcam stuff in this world. There's a lot of men that are behind the keyboard talking to women. I would say that there's even entire agencies now. Basically, if you're talking to like an OnlyFans chick, there's thousands of OnlyFans chicks that don't have the time, or they pay other people, just like a manager, to basically answer messages for them. So this idea that, even though it's kind of scummy and shouldn't be bragged about, this idea that Andrew Tate was the only one doing that, it's just not true. And if they're not running around arresting every OnlyFans model for human trafficking. So I think they're getting framed. I've always liked listening to them on podcasts. God bless the Tate brothers. God bless the quote-unquote victims that don't even think they're victims and are being told by a Romanian judge what to think. My question is, I wonder if the West and America has anything to do with this. It doesn't sound like America has so much power over a lot of these European nations. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody told them to look after Andrew Tate. That's just my thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. God bless you guys. And let's go to the third story. So it all starts with this. Babylon Bee posted a mockery of Trump. It said, Trump attacks DeSantis for failing to fire Dr. Fauci, rushing untested vaccine. And the reason this came out, maybe, was because, Trump really is attacking DeSantis every day because DeSantis is probably going to run for president. But Trump is attacking him from goofy angles. Like, even if you like Trump, you got to admit, it's a little goofy. He's like, oh, DeSantis loved the vaccine and locked down beaches. It's like, you really want to go there, Trump? You really want to go to the vaccine and locking down? Like, that's the angle you got on DeSantis? So it's a little goofy. So I think that Babylon Bee article is kind of mocking Trump. It's like he's choosing topics that he's just as bad as DeSantis, if not worse on, and acting like that's where he's going to get DeSantis. It's actually really stupid, in my opinion. But anyway, Babylon Bee made fun of him, and Laura Loomer uncovered something. Whether you like Laura Loomer or not, whether you think she's going overboard on DeSantis, she made a pretty interesting revelation. I don't know if she's the one who found this or someone else, but to me, it's worthy of sharing, and it's definitely worthy of talking about. She said, earlier I posted an expenditure report from DeSantis' PAC, which paid Babylon Bee $21,500. I said their post below is an anti-Trump propaganda paid post for DeSantis. Babylon Bee asked me to retract. They denied attacking Trump for money, but they confirmed to me that they do consult for DeSantis. So, Laura, honestly, is a friend of mine. I haven't seen her in years, but I like Laura. We've always been cordial. She invited me one year when she was running to go to her party for her candidacy in Florida when she was running. She almost won. I like Laura. I've met her years ago at an event, and she's always been cool to me. That being said, I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm trying to just kind of stay in the middle and call it like I see it with DeSantis, Trump, yay, whoever's in it. I guess Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, some of these losers. But, Laura is dedicated to Trump and basically has said she's endorsing him. So she's basically she's going hard at DeSantis, coming after DeSantis, and backing Trump super hard. With that being said, other people are posting this now and basically saying that the Babylon Bee is getting paid to bash Trump in their satire. What seems to be true, and what seems to be confirmed, at least, we'll find out, is that Babylon Bee gets money from some sort of DeSantis super PAC or DeSantis himself to write jokes for DeSantis. So I believe Seth Dillon and the Babylon Bee has admitted to that. They said, we do work with DeSantis, but we're not getting paid to run anti-Trump ads. We're getting paid to write him jokes. Just like a lot of politicians, they have speechwriters. When Trump said drain the swamp and MAGA, did he come up with that himself, or did Steve Bannon or somebody else write that for him and come up with the brands? I'm not really sure, but the point is that, Seth Dillon from the Babylon Bee did admit he does get paid by DeSantis to write him jokes. Now, here's what I'm going to say. I understand why people who like Trump would be upset by that, because Babylon Bee is a Christian conservative satire outlet that does have a lot of influence. Even though they're funny and it's mostly jokes, there's still influence in comedy. Just look at Trevor Noah. Just look at these losers on television. I forget their names, Jimmy Fallon or whatever, James Corden. There is power in comedy. With that being said, although I like Babylon Bee, I understand if you're taking money, even if it's for something else, under one candidate, there's going to be people who like Trump, like Laura and others, who are asking, are you going to call it like you see it for the election? Or are you going to favor DeSantis over Trump because you work with him and get paid for him? Here's where I think, I slightly disagree, or this is just my personal opinion. One, I like to be as accurate as possible. So, let's be real. They got paid by DeSantis, but I don't know that they're getting paid to bash Trump or anything. They seem to have a good relationship with Trump. So I think that's a slight exaggeration, but it is what it is. People are free to say what they want. Another thing is, this is my only, and this isn't just like Laura. I think there's a lot of people out there, and I don't see enough of what she says to even know where she stands with this. Maybe she agrees with me. I have no idea. But to a lot of Trump influencers that I see that will go crazy over this, a lot of them will be the same ones that will tell me to shut up when I say Trump got paid $1 million from Pfizer and Trump took $100 million for his inauguration from major corporations. So all I ask from everybody, some people are endorsing a certain candidate, so they're basically just looking for everything in one and ignoring everything else. I'm not doing that. I'm not endorsing DeSantis. I'm not endorsing Trump. I'm not endorsing Ye. I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm doing news analysis. I can't be bought. I'm not taking money from DeSantis. I'm not writing jokes for him. I'm not taking money from Trump. I will tell you exactly what I think, regardless if it goes against the candidate I like better. With that being said, I do think all the people that are in the bag for Trump that say, wow, this is this huge bombshell, 21,000 from the Babylon Bee. Sure, it's worth reporting, and I'm not covering it up. It is interesting, and there is a question to be asked of Babylon Bee. Now you're getting involved with candidates, Now people are going to ask questions of how, fair you're being if you're going to get paid from one side but not the other. But I haven't seen a single person that's going to freak out about this admit that Donald Trump got hundreds of millions of dollars from corporations. So it's like, I say Trump got paid $1 million from Pfizer and hired a pharmacy lobbyist, and people tell me, shut up, you're hating. I'm not hating, I'm doing journalism. That's journalism. Trump got money from pharma. So That's all I'm saying. If you're going to cry over 21,000 to DeSantis or to Babylon B from DeSantis, you can't ignore hundreds of millions of dollars from corporations going to Donald Trump. I know people like Trump, but they don't want to talk about that. So, it's going to get ugly, in my opinion, with Trump and DeSantis, because it seems like one side is really out for blood. The people who like Trump, they don't care that he sold out to lobbyists. They don't care that he takes money. They don't care that he sells the vaccine harder than Bill Gates. They don't care that he's acting like a clown on True Social. They don't care that he's doing basically Sal Alinsky's strategy of accusing DeSantis of what he's actually doing. They don't care. They just want to destroy DeSantis. And it's like, it's an interesting strategy, because to me, I think the way that Trump wins is by being self-accountable and correcting his wrongs, not just running around trying to bash everybody that likes DeSantis or bash DeSantis himself. I don't think that that's really going to work, but everybody's entitled to their strategy. If you want to endorse a candidate and go all in for somebody, that's fine. I'm personally not doing that. But, I do think that it's worth, it's going to cause some issues for Seth Dillon now that a lot of Trump supporters are noticing that he's taking money, even if it's just to write jokes. It doesn't make me dislike the Babylon Bee. It doesn't make me really think too much. And I just pray that if Trump and DeSantis brawl over this stuff, metaphorically, obviously, I don't think they're literally going to fight, but I just hope our party and our country's in a better place. And this is what is interesting about it, is like I said, if you can prove that Trump hired a bunch of shills and got paid by Big Pharma, people tell you to shut up, but then they want to look into DeSantis. To me, this isn't going where people think it's going. I want Trump and DeSantis to run against each other. I want the lobbying money of Babylon Bee and DeSantis and Trump to be exposed. But I want people to actually care about substance over personality and idol worship. And I feel like it seems like, to me, the Trump campaign, he's out for blood. He's not trying to get better. He's not trying to right his wrongs. He's not trying to correct himself. He's, in my opinion, using Marxist tactics of accusing the others of what you're actually doing. He's accusing Ron DeSantis of things that he's doing. It's really low. It's really grimy. And Babylon Bee, whether they're taking money or not, has every right to joke about Trump because he's acting like a clown. But it's like, to me, the Trump side is not looking to drain the swamp or to clean up lobbyists or to look who's getting paid by who. It just seems like they're out for blood on anybody who disagrees with them. So it's like, to me, they're just driving straight into the ground, and they just want to win so bad, they're not even going to do anything. But we'll see what happens. I'm interested to know. I mean, I don't, like, if this is all public, PAC money and stuff, this stuff has to be public. I'm wondering who else is getting paid. Who's getting paid by Trump? Who's, I had David Harris on here. He's a nice guy, but it's like, how many people don't want to say anything about Trump because they want to hang out at Mar-a-Lago, and they've basically been lobbied because they're the cool kids of Florida now. I think there's a lot of people that are compromising themselves, or at least just basically becoming a shell of what they once were. And that includes both sides. So, like I said, I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for myself. I'm not endorsing Donald Trump. I'm not endorsing Ron DeSantis. I'm doing real journalism these next 2 years, and no one can buy me off. I think it's going to get ugly. I think the people that are backing Trump they just want to destroy the competition. They don't want him to get better. They don't want him to stop selling the vaccine harder than Bill Gates. They don't want people to notice it. They don't want to talk about how he got lobbied by Big Pharma. They don't want to talk about how he took almost 2 times as much money as Obama. He said he'd never take corporate money. He took corporate money. He said he'd never take donor money. He took donor money. Donald Trump is hanging out with Lindsey Graham, but he wants to talk about Jeb Bush. To me, it's getting ugly, but not in a good way. Like, ugly to me is like fight, call each other out, and get better. Bad ugly is like fight, accuse them of what you're doing, and just keep getting worse, keep getting swampier, and just destroy anybody that tries to stop you. To me, it's not looking good. And there's a lot of infighting going on now between like Crowder, Daily Wire. I don't care. I think some iron sharpens iron is good. I'm not opposed to but to me, I even got in trouble for the Crowder Daily Wire thing. I think Daily Wire needs to be scrutinized. I think Crowder needs to be scrutinized. So on paper, you would think that I'm cool with that because it's like, oh, they're fighting each other. They're gonna expose each other. To me, though, my big point was I don't even like Daily Wire that much, but I don't believe Steven Crowder. I don't think he's fighting for the little guy. I think he doesn't know how to run his business without corporations behind him, and he's panicking because nobody wants to foot his bill, and he doesn't even really know how much his own production costs, and he hasn't done it without the Blaze, and he doesn't own his own Mug Club stuff. Before, it's like I don't think he's like fighting for me. I don't think he cares about me. I think he's fighting for himself. So it's like I see the infighting going on. I just see it going on in like such an unproductive way. It's like in such a vindictive, spiteful, unproductive way where it doesn't seem like people are actually trying to get better. It just seems like people want to fight the other guy. I don't like that stuff. Self-accountability, self-awareness. Donald Trump and Laura and all these people, Laura's cool with me. I'm just saying, me personally, this is my perspective. You can't win my vote by letting Trump just act like he's acting. That's not going to win my vote and probably millions of people too. So in order for me to get back on the Trump train, he's got to become self-aware and self-accountable for his mistakes. He can't just blame DeSantis for mistakes he made. He's running around the world saying the vaccine saved 100 million lives, and Bill Gates is saying it has 3 problems. He's literally more bullish and more corrupt than Bill Gates on this topic, at least vocally. I can't vote for a guy that's worse than Bill Gates and probably works with Bill Gates. So if you want my vote, you got to tell Trump to stop being such a loser and a shill and a crybaby. That's for me. I can't speak for everybody else. I'm sure some people will still vote for him, but like, that's just the type of person I am. Self-accountability and self-awareness. Be better. Be the change you want to see in the world. Not, keep spiraling into narcissism and bash everyone. Oh my gosh, he was crying when it's like that doesn't work for me. It might work though. Who knows? I'm only one person. When it's Biden versus Trump or Trump versus DeSantis, it's like anything is possible. Maybe that will work, but for me personally, it's not attractive. But let me know what you guys think. It's going to get ugly. What I've noticed on Twitter, I follow a lot of people who like DeSantis more. I follow a lot of people who like Trump. This is just my personal perspective that I've seen. The people that are backing Trump, they're not expecting him to get better. They're just like running around basically trying to like badmouth people who don't like him. But it's like, why would I like Donald Trump when he's lying about the vaccine? I don't like him. I don't. In order for me to like him again, he's got to stop lying and being a shill and hang out with Lindsey Graham and sucking up donor money. And if you want to expose Babylon Bee for $21,000, that's fine. But also you got to expose Donald Trump for taking $1 million from Pfizer and taking $1 million. It's worse to take $1 million from Pfizer and put a pharmacy lobbyist at the head of HHS than it is for DeSantis to pay $20,000 to Babylon Bee. It's way worse to sell out to Pfizer than the Babylon Bee. But all these people that like Trump don't want to talk about that. So it doesn't seem authentic to me or organic. It's like, sure, everybody has the right to do whatever reporting they want. I don't police people, and I'm glad that people are doing reporting that I'm not. But it's like, I don't know if that's going to work. You got to call it, but some people they're not looking to call both ways. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Someone said Billy Gates is only saying the vaccines have problems because he wants to justify making more and more. I believe you're right. I do absolutely think that's true. And I think the only reason that Trump says it's so great is because Trump is the one who rushed it through the FDA. So it's kind of like his baby. So yeah, I think Bill Gates is only admitting it's wrong to build more, and Trump's trying to pretend like it's perfect because he's the one who did it. Someone said, Anomaly, you are for DeSantis, it's obvious. I'll be honest, I'm not endorsing DeSantis, I'm not endorsing Trump. I've said this before. If the election were today between Rand Paul, DeSantis, and Trump, I would vote for Rand Paul over both of them. If the election today were between DeSantis and Trump, I would vote for DeSantis because DeSantis hired an outsider to run Surgeon General and Trump surrounded himself by the big pharma lobby. DeSantis learned his lesson on the vaccine, or at least pretends to, and Trump is just spiraling towards hell, towards the devil, lying even more than Bill Gates. So I'm not endorsing Ron DeSantis, but I would vote for him over Trump today if the election were today, and I'd vote for Rand Paul over both of them. Doesn't mean it can't change. It can change, but in order to get me back on that side, you got to get better. You can't just, like, Trump is getting worse every week and his group is getting more unhinged. They're getting like angrier. It's like us more, like us more. Why would I like him? I'm not an idiot. He's insulting my intelligence when he says DeSantis loves the vaccine and he locked down the beaches, but Trump wants to take no accountability for the same. It's an insult to my intelligence. I can't support that. So if you want me back on that side, tell him to get better instead of just getting more annoying and more cringe. That's it. So yeah, I'm not endorsing him, but if the vote were today, he would get my vote over Trump. Sure. And I told you why. Because Trump sold out to the pharmacy lobbyist. Trump hangs out with Lindsey Graham. And DeSantis has done a better job with Big Pharma. He hired Joseph Ladapo. In my opinion, Joseph Ladapo is a better hire than anyone Trump's ever hired. I don't think Trump hired a single person better than Joseph Ladapo. And Trump had 4 years. So, and here's the thing with Trump. I don't think he's learned a lesson. He's hanging out with Lindsey Graham. He did his first rally of the year with Lindsey Graham. You want me on your side? I want journalists to ask Donald Trump, hey, Trump, who are you going to put at the head of the FBI? Trump, if you win again, who are you going to put at the HHS? There's no signs that say that Donald Trump isn't compromised by Big Pharma. All the signs are going there. So you have to understand that, if people don't want to do the journalism with Trump and they just want to give him a pass, then you're going to lose lots of votes. Make sure he's who you think he is, and then people will get back on the board. Someone said anomalies here to keep people hoping on the political system. It's not true at all. If anybody watches my live streams often, I'm always talking about, just crushing in your own life, self-awareness, the fact that nobody's coming to save you, whether it's Biden, Trump, or DeSantis. That's literally the opposite of my entire live stream. So if you want to lie to yourself and like curl in a corner and say anomalies here to keep people thinking that the political process is so important, it's like, that's like the opposite of the message that I give. In fact, so much so that people accuse me of being a hater or whatever. So, you could lie to yourself if you want, but nobody believes that. Someone said Lindsey Graham is my senator and he's the most flip-flopping fool. Lindsey Graham is the biggest snake in the Republican Party, and it's a red flag upon red flags that Donald Trump is saying he's a good politician and a good friend of his. But here, this is the whole point, and I'm not going to be too repetitive. This is why Trump's movement's becoming so toxic. It's not because DeSantis is so great and everybody thinks he's so perfect. It's because Trump sucks, he learns nothing, and the further Trump spirals towards swamping and rhino and being sold out, he's sold out to donors, he's sold out to pharma, he's hanging out with the worst swampers and giving them thumbs up. And instead of his base being like, yeah, I understand why people wouldn't like Trump that much. He is kind of sucking. They're like yelling. They treat me like I'm an idiot or something when I'm smarter than that. Like, if you don't like Trump, you're sold out. And they start screaming. It's like, ew, like Red Eagle politics on Twitter. He's like the biggest Trump guy. It's fine. You could like Trump better than DeSantis, but it's like the cringing and the spiraling. It's like they think just treating everybody who is like skeptical of Trump like garbage, like that's a good strategy. Like, it's not like get back on the Trump train and we're going to win. It's like get on or you're sold out, even though he did nothing. It's like, that's the campaign strategy. That's the campaign strategy, having all your supporters act like unhinged psychos and yell at everybody, and then have Trump crying on Truth Social every day. Like, someone said, are you a rhino? No, I'm not Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a rhino, and he hangs out with Donald Trump. How come when Donald Trump takes $1 million from Pfizer and hangs out with rhinos and puts them on a stage, that his supporters don't even want to talk about it? But then they call me a rhino when I notice that Trump is hanging out with the king of rhinos, Lindsey Graham, and is going to work with them again. Like, do you not realize you're becoming detached from reality? Like, did you get brainwashed by Trump or something where it's like he sells out, he hangs out with rhinos, he hangs out with the world's worst Republicans, but if someone notices, they must be a rhino. Like, people are losing their minds over the vaccine salesman. It's insane. Lindsey Graham is a rhino. He's at the Trump rally. You will never see me at a music concert or a rally with somebody as scummy as Lindsey Graham. I would never do that because I'm not a sellout. But if someone does do that, maybe they're the ones that sold out. Or no, do you idolize them too much? Are you like emotional? The best type of politician is the one who convinces you that they're not one. So if somebody is doing all the wrong things, but you like them so much, it means they're an effective con artist. It means you got snake oil sailed, He keeps doing what Mitch McConnell does, but he's so different because maybe you got fooled. Maybe it's time to take a step back and be like, let me reevaluate if I'm making excuses. And this isn't new. It's like, all the reporting I was doing in 2020, if that was Hillary Clinton, I would have been doing the same reporting. I'm against lockdowns. I'm talking about Operation Warp Speed, big pharma corruption. You got conservatives lashing out at me for 2 years because I'm doing the reporting that they would be doing if it were Hillary Clinton or Fauci. I even got David Harris, David Harris was on my live stream. Nice guy. But it's like, if I could literally do an AI simulation and get all the stupid, dishonest lies that Trump said about the vaccine and put them in the mouth of Fauci or Bill Gates or Hillary Clinton, every right-wing influencer would be putting it on their channels. Like, look how big of a lie this is. Look how corrupt this is. Look how fake this is. Look how bad this is. But then when Trump does it, it's like, Oh, I'm a robot. I have to make excuses for it. I forgot that I have no soul or integrity. So when Trump says the vaccine saved 100 million lives, I have to make excuses for it so I could go to Mar-a-Lago. But if Fauci says the vaccine saved 100 million lives, that's wrong. If Bill Gates says the vaccine saved 100 million lives, that's evil. When Donald Trump says it, I want to go to Mar-a-Lago and I have no life and I'm a loser and I'm a sellout. So I have to, it's like, dude, I'm so tired of like people are, they have no integrity. It's fine. You know, it makes me a standout where it's like, I'm not endorsing anybody. If DeSantis comes out tomorrow and says, you know, I'm passing more speech laws, or you know, which is pretty much happening in Florida, but nobody wants to talk about it, or they say it's hate speech, or if Trump comes out and like, I just want to be free to say the truth. Like, why the right wing has gotten so culty? It's literally like, oh, if our guy does the most corrupt stuff, we have to make excuses for it. It's like, so to the person that says that I'm always preaching that the political system's your savior, it's literally the opposite of the truth. The truth is the people that are waiting around for Trump or anyone to save them, there's no point. You know, you have to barrel down in your own life and figure out what makes you happy, whether Biden's there, Trump's there, or DeSantis is there, because clearly none of these people are coming to save you. You know, maybe they'll pass a policy that does well for you. Maybe they'll invite you to an event, cut your taxes, or stop a war. But for the most part, no one's coming to save you. And I've never once told people, sit around and wait for the politician to come wipe your butt. That's like the opposite of what we talk about here. Let me see. Someone said the sad part is they don't have integrity because they don't understand it. Well, it's a combo of a lot of things, I think. And it's, you know, it's all good, but you have to understand there's a lot of like power games being played here. Like, you know, if you go this way, people are not going to like it. So you got to figure out who you are and what you want to say. But a lot of people, it's like high school, you know, it's like fighting and drama and, you know, a lot of like ego. It's all good. It is what it is. You know, I'm not going to complain. Like, God is great. Everything happens for a reason. But this is a thought I had over the weekend when I took a break from my phone, a well-earned break. You know, the narrative that a lot of Republicans and conservatives and even Democrats in their own way will make is we deserve a better leader, right? I'm about to flip the whole thing on its head. They'll say, we deserve better than Donald Trump, says the Democrats. And the right wing will say, we deserve a good leader. In my opinion, America does not deserve a good leader. And it's not because I hate America. I love America. But, you know, if the people of this country are weak, you get a weak leader. If the people of this country can't even tell a restaurant no with a mask mandate, we don't deserve anything. We deserve an 80-year-old pharmacy battle between Biden and Trump and, you know, left-wingers yelling and getting fatter and right-wingers yelling and getting fatter. Our country is not healthy, you know, and I'm not trying to bully people or be mean. Our country's fatter than it's ever been. We're more addicted to pills than we ever have been. We're one of the biggest sellout countries to big pharma in the world, if not number one. Like, why, you know, fentanyl is killing our kids. Why do we deserve a good leader? Like, what, you know, like we deserve Marcus Aurelius, but our own citizens are like becoming pathetic and weak. No, you know, a lot of times the type of leader that you have reflects the people that are in your country. Like, it's like, oh, you know, Ronald Reagan was so much better and Nixon was better and, you know, Truman was better. Well, maybe people were less pathetic then, so the leaders were less pathetic. But now you have, you know, almost obese vaccine salesman on one side, basically hawking the vaccine harder than Bill Gates. And you have a bunch of influencers who don't want to talk about it and call themselves patriots. And on the left wing, you have a, you know, declining, like eating, you know, nursing home patient named Joe Biden, who probably craps his pants once a month, possibly, allegedly, I don't know, just joking. But it's like on the left, and hundreds of millions and people like him because they don't like Trump. I mean, why? Like, everyone's like, oh, we deserve freedom. No, we don't. We deserve a good leader. No, we don't. If Americans want to get their act together, you'll get a good leader. If Americans want to just keep getting fat, keep getting addicted to pills, doesn't matter if Biden or Trump's in, country's going to get fatter, the country's going to get more addicted to pills, and nobody's even talking about the Food and Drug Administration. They're both hiring shills, Biden and Trump, but you want to fight over these like red and blue candidates who are both delusional, and you want to be, oh, are you a rhino anomaly if you notice that Lindsey Graham's a rhino? No, I truly believe this from the bottom of my heart. When Americans get better, the leaders will get better, but we don't deserve good leaders. Just like people are like, we deserve freedom. No, we don't. Our ancestors worked for freedom. Our ancestors believed in freedom. 90% of conservative men, whether they have a Second Amendment picture or a Jim Bro picture, oh, I'm so strong, 95% of conservative men couldn't even take off a mask at a restaurant in order to sit down. I'm in a conservative area, and I'd walk into a restaurant and people would literally wear a mask for 5 seconds. If you can't even if you can't even get 10 or 15% of the restaurant to say, hey, you can go bankrupt if you want. We're not going to wear a mask like a freaking, captured war prisoner for 15 seconds just to take it off and sit down at a seat, and then take it out. It makes no scientific sense. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. And it's a straight up ploy to see how stupid and pathetic people are. And we failed that test. So, if people want to get better in this country, the leaders will get better. When you have a political party that's sold out to Big Pharma, Pfizer, paid $1 million to build a new infrastructure for the Republican Party in Kentucky, which is where Mitch McConnell is. Donald Trump hired a bunch of pharmacy lobbyists. The Republican Party, hook, line, and sinker, is sold out to Big Pharma. When I say this, you have more conservative men fighting me over it than they are mad that their own politicians are being bought out. You know how much money I took from Pfizer? $0. You know how much Trump took from Pfizer? $1 million. But when I say that, you have more than half of these conservative men mad that I'm pointing out that their party sold out to pharma than they are that pharma's buying out their party and their own leaders are sellouts and hypocrites. They're more mad at me. So why do these people deserve freedom? If you're too fake or stupid or pathetic to even call out your own party when they sell you out and you say MAGA, 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 you deserve nothing. Whether it's Biden or Trump, you deserve 4 more years of Karl Marx in a red hat and then a lockdown Operation Warp Speed in the CARES Act. And then I tell people that the Republican Party went socialist and they don't even know. They're like, what do you mean? What do you think it is when they print $1,600 Trump checks and mail them to everybody? Is that capitalism, just mailing everybody $1,600 check? Is that capitalism to do 15 days to slow the spread? Is that capitalism for Big Pharma when the government gives $16 billion to Big Pharma and then they buy their product and tell you it's free? That's all socialist. And that was all done by Republicans. And you have half the base get mad when I say that. It's like, we like socialism when they don't tell us that it's happening and it's got a red hat on. Then why do you deserve anything? Why does it like, oh, we deserve freedom? No, you don't. Oh, and it's not just the left. Yeah, make some more videos of how dumb the left is when you're just as dumb. That's most right-wing influencers. They're like drooling sellouts that just sell Trump merch, go to Mar-a-Lago, have no spine, have no soul, have no integrity, will be silent about the First and Second Amendment getting infringed on if their party does it, and then they just drool all over the left saying how dumb they are. It's like, it's not just the left. Yeah, the left is dumb, but, the left is fake. They're wrong about everything, but the right is so pathetic. The right is further left than Obama was when he got into office. Obama, Joe Biden used to be against gay marriage. Now Trump's waving gay flags around, and the log cabin Republican gay lobby has taken over the Republican Party, where if you agree with Barack Obama when he got into office and say, I don't believe in gay marriage, they'll try to run you out of the Republican Party. Fiscally, socially, economically, the Republican Party now is further left than the Democrats used to be 20 years ago. So the joke is on Republicans. If that bothers you, what I just said, you deserve nothing. You don't deserve freedom. But we didn't do social. Yeah, they did. Elise Stefanik and these sold out losers, they're like, we condemned socialism in the Senate and the House, and they wouldn't condemn it. What does that mean? You did socialism, Elise Stefanik. You did socialism in 2020. And now 3 years later, after you imploded the economy and handed it over to slow Biden to hurt it more, now you're condemning it. And you think I'm stupid enough to believe that you're going to fight socialism when you did it? But the base doesn't want to call it out. That's all I'm saying. If people want freedom and they want liberty and they want a healthy country, we got to get healthier. The country's sick. Our people are sick. Obesity needs to go down. People need to put down the pharmacy products. People need to realize the reason that so many people are addicted to pharmacy pills is because the pharmacy lobby has control of the media and both parties. But anomaly, I like Donald Trump so much that it hurts my feelings when you say that he's sold out to Big Pharma, so I'm going to pretend like you're sold out, even though you factually pointed out that he's taken $100 million from corporations. Okay, then, you're pathetic? What else do you want me to say? You're mad that I'm pointing out that the Republican Party sold out because you like the guy that took $1 million from Pfizer and hired a pharmacy lobbyist. But I'm the independent journalist that's way under paid for the amount of work I do, beating myself up trying to get information out to the people with no production team. I'm the problem because I pointed out that both parties are sold out, because you don't want to believe both parties are sold out because you like the guy at the top of the Republican Party. This is how pathetic people are in this country. Oh, but we don't deserve crap. You want to be jacked? You know what I'm saying? Work out. I'm not saying I'm the strongest person, but it's like I used to be skinny as a string bean. This didn't just grow because I watch Fox News. I hit the gym. You know what I'm saying? If I want my muscles to get bigger, I got to go to the gym. Nobody wants to go to the gym, but everybody wants the results in this country. Oh, we deserve everything. If you can't even face the elephant in the room in the Republican Party and what they did in 2020 and beyond, you deserve nothing. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You think I care so much about DeSantis? I don't care. I just want people to wake up, because it's like, I'm okay with the fact that, unfortunately, if enough people don't wake up, a country is a net sum of everybody. If enough people don't wake up on our side, it's not going anywhere. So, I'll just deal with it just like I've dealt with everything in my life. It's unfortunate. I would like cities to get, better. I'd love cities to get better. But if Democrats keep voting Democrat and they don't want to address how to get rid of homelessness, it's going to get worse. Sucks, but I guess I just won't go to the cities anymore. Like, Democrats are too stupid to fix their cities, so whatever. Okay, I don't agree with you, and I don't care. Live in a shithole, okay, live in San Francisco. There's shit and piss everywhere. They're going to take more money from the rich, get trillions of dollars. They still won't be able to figure out homelessness. Yeah, okay, come see me in 10 years when it's literally a zombie apocalypse and you're, like, begging for help. I'll tell you how to fix San Francisco. It's actually easy, but you got to stop being stupid and Democrat. I don't want it to be that way, but I'm at peace with it. Okay. You want that? Deal with it. America, I'd love America to get on the right direction, but it's not. And it's not going to unless Republicans wake up to the corruption on their side, but they just want to fight each other over nothing and cry when I point out how they're being controlled. So they're going to keep being controlled. It's like there's no sign saying that Donald Trump is going to do a way better job. He's hanging out with worse people than he hung out with when he ran for office. He's so comfortable selling you out. He's so comfortable selling the vaccine harder than Bill Gates. He's so comfortable on a stage with Lindsey Graham, who's the worst rhino of all. Who helped start the Ukraine war. He's so comfortable because his base is pathetic. They're doormats. And I'm not saying this to beat on people. I'm saying this to inspire people. If you don't want to get walked all over by Donald Trump and the Republican Party, stop acting like a doormat. If you act like a doormat, it's your fault. That's the point I'm trying to make. I know people are strong enough to take this message. It's inspiring. Act like a doormat. Get treated like a doormat. Right now, the Trump base is a doormat. They're a walking, angry doormat. They're mad that they're getting walked all over, but they let him stomp all over his face, and then they pick the low-hanging fruit and try to blame what Trump's doing on them. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Trump loyalist, okay? She's not thinking of her own stuff independently all the time. She's basically, like, lobbying herself to get in line with Donald Trump. That's fine. But it's like when she backs Kevin McCarthy, all these Trump influencers are bashing her. Okay, but what about Donald Trump, who's probably why she supported McCarthy? Are you going to do that to Trump? Oh, you're not? It's like I'm living in this fake fantasy world where every influencer acts stupid. We're going to bash Marjorie Taylor Greene for endorsing McCarthy. But when Donald Trump endorses McCarthy, we're just going to play stupid and we're going to pretend like it didn't even happen. We're walking doormats. Yeah, they're walking doormats because they're getting paid to be walking doormats for Trump. They're all like, oh, we'll sell more merch and get invited places. It's like, it's pathetic. So that's all I'm trying to say. God bless everybody. But if you don't want to get treated like a doormat, don't act like one. It's that simple. I challenge the right wing harder because the left wing is wrong about almost everything. I hope there's some Democrats listening to me. I think I have more on Instagram because of the way my content goes. But if you're a Democrat right now, just understand, like, the right wing is not right about everything, but the Democratic Party is almost wrong about everything. Like, there's no bigger psyop than believing the Democratic Party. There's thousands of psyops in this world. None are bigger than being like, I'm a proud Democrat and me and Rob Reiner are going to defeat the right wing. Like, that's the biggest psyop among psyops. Like, just get out of it, okay? The Democrats are wrong about almost everything. But now, once you get out of that psyop, some people run away from that, run right into the hands of the right wing, and then they don't even realize. It's like, now destiny's in our hands. I know the right wing is strong enough. I know the base is strong enough to take this type of criticism. I'm not doing it because I hate the Trump base. I'm doing it because the Trump base is strong, and they're probably, whatever the right wing was or the populist movement, that these are going to be the people that reshape and fix society. But it's like, you got to stop acting like a doormat, you know? It's that simple. And I want to use a quick example real quick. It's like when the pandemic was going on, it's like, to me, that was the ultimate test. It was the ultimate test, not of them, but of you as a person. Do you have conviction? Are you strong enough? Like, it was a test. Like, and most people failed. And I'm not blaming people, because listen, everybody had to make some sort of compromise for certain things. But to me, the most obvious one, and I saw it really just showed me what conservatives were. Not all, I'm not going to say all, but a lot. Like, I would be out with my conservative friends, okay? And we'd be at a restaurant. I already know dozens of restaurants that weren't making me wear a mask, that weren't. And I said, hey, can I just sit at the outdoor table? And the lady comes out and she says, you got to wear a mask. I said, I have to wear a mask to walk right over here outdoors? I'm not even going indoors. That makes no sense. That's not even your policy. And she said, you have to do it. And my conservative friends would tell me, oh, come on, just do it. Just do it. Bro, it's a test to see how pathetic everybody is, and everybody's failing. It's like, if even 15% of conservative men stood up for themselves, the whole thing would have went away at that restaurant. And also, if you're not the type of man that would starve in the desert for what's right, in my opinion, you're not really a strong man. Like, a tough man would do what's right even in the face of death or tyranny. But we're like an obese country. It's not like, oh, Anomaly's such a hero, he's going to starve to death if he doesn't get to eat at this, kitchen. I could go right over there to a restaurant that doesn't treat me like a slave and give them my money. And people are like not even wanting to do that type of stuff. It's like, if you can't even pass an easy test when this country's obese to go sit in another restaurant and you're complying to the tyranny, God is going to punish you. And I'm not trying to speak on behalf of God, but it's like, you think he's just going to get everybody fat, addicted to pills, and like, oh, you're going to get your Marcus Aurelius leader. Like, the country's going to be fat, addicted to pills, and we're going to get our heroic moral leader when nobody in this country is heroic or moral anymore. Like that, then no, we don't deserve it. And I'm not saying that like I hate it. I love America. Work for it. You want to be the champion? Get off your ass and bust your ass. Like, everybody wants the results in this country, but nobody wants to work. And I'll tell you what, the flip side of that is, if you do put in the work, there's probably never been an easier time. I don't even know what it's like. Like, it's been 6 years since I've had to work other jobs. But when I used to work other jobs, I'm working 3 jobs. I always worked hard. That's how I got here. It's like, no one gave this to me. Nobody handed it to me. I didn't get it from Daily Wire or Steven Crowder. I worked for what I got, and then I kept it because I keep working hard all the time. I don't stop because I don't want to go back to where I used to be. And that's how this country really works. Talk to immigrants who came here with nothing. They're like, this country rocks. Yeah, it's a little rough. It is kind of like, there is some shitty elements to it. But you know how many millions of immigrants came here and ran laps around everybody? The reason they ran laps around everybody is because they know what it's like not to have it. And sometimes in this country, people just think we deserve everything. We don't. You got to work for it. And if you work for it, you'll get the results. But when hundreds of millions of people aren't working for it, we don't get the results. The only way to get the results is for people to like put in a little more work. Like, the Democrats have no incentive to be better because their whole base is brainwashed, and the Republicans are when you got 50 million people looking up to Trump and they don't want to hear about what he did, it's like, why wouldn't you get fooled again? Why wouldn't we end in a lockdown again? If this is how we ended up in a lockdown, and Donald Trump was in on the big pharma corruption, and he has yet to correct himself, and he's basically doing the Saul Alinsky tactic to accuse others of what he actually did, and he's unapologetic about it, and his rhetoric is getting even worse than Bill Gates's, on what planet would you get good results if he got back into office? Like, are people this pathetic? I'm not trying to be rude, but seriously, like, it's like your kids shitting their pants 1,000 times and you just keep buying them steak dinners. And you're like, oh, my kid's going to not shit his pants now because I bought him a steak dinner. You've conditioned him to shit his pants when you buy him steak dinners. Like, why wouldn't he? It's like laughable to me. Like, people are like, oh, it's going to be really different this time. How could it possibly be different? Why would it be different? Why do you deserve it? Why? Like, because you're so loyal to delusion. You're so loyal to corruption. You don't do journalism, so we're gonna get results. Like, and then people are like, oh, you should run for office if you cared. I'm doing journalism. Someone used to do what I'm doing, and at some point, I would think. I mean, there are other journalists doing work, but it's like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing my job. I don't want to run for office. Is that what people want me to do? You want me to do what you're mad that I'm doing journalism and you want me to run for office like Trump? You want me to take $100 million from corporations? You want me to take $1 million from Pfizer and hire a pharmacy lobbyist? Is that what you want me to do? You'd like me more if I sold out? Like, people are like, how dare you not sell out and tell the truth? Why don't you just go run for office if you're so much better? Like, you want me to do that? Make more money, work with corporations, lie to you, take money from them and tell you I care about Georgia? Like, that's what you want? You can get it. I'll do it. You want me to do that? Like, of course you don't. So it's like, what are you talking about? Someone said this ranting is journalism. Well, it's more epic than journalism. It's like soulful, you know what I'm saying? Like spiritual, confident reality. It's like the new era of journalism. It's like journalism meets podcasting, meets video journalism, meets just raw, like non-doctored speeches. Like a bunch of commies didn't write my speech, like MLK, and Steve Bannon didn't write my speech, or whatever. Like, it's just like, it's the next level of like, just public speaking through a webcam. Someone said, how about $1 billion from the Rockefeller Foundation? Do people want me to take $1 billion from the Rockefeller Foundation? Then I'll be like, listen, this vaccine is good. This vaccine, it saved the world. And people are like, oh my God, oh my gosh. My vaccine, it's my vaccine, not Fauci, it's mine. I rushed the FDA. My vaccine saved the world. People are like, I mean, it seems pretty legit. I mean, this guy's really going to stand up to the tyranny. How dare anomaly notice reality? I mean, it's like, what the heck? It's like baffling to me. I would vote for him if he got his act together, but he keeps getting worse and people just yell at me. They're like, I mean, how are we going to fight the rhinos? Like, how are we going to fight the rhinos with Donald Trump on a stage with Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham makes Mitch McConnell look like Franklin the Turtle from Nickelodeon. Patriots, I sold vaccines, 100 million lives. Oh my gosh, I mean, if this isn't real leadership, I don't know what is. If this isn't a patriot, it's like, what? Let's talk about the 21K from the Babylon Bee and DeSantis, but let's talk about the $1 million from Pfizer to Trump and the $100 million from corporations for his inauguration. No, you don't want to talk about. Then what's the point? I'm not even mad. I'm having fun with it because I understand. Like, people aren't going to like what I say. I don't care. People aren't going to agree with me. That's fine. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing for my entire adult life, which is just work hard, because Biden's not going to wipe my ass. Trump's not going to wipe my ass. DeSantis isn't going to wipe my ass. And if I've learned anything from the last 20 years, both parties are going to underwhelm. You know what I'm saying? They're going to promise us the world and not do that much. So, I've come to the reality of like, okay, well, I guess I gotta work extra hard. If life's going to get extra crazy, I better bust my ass now, so I'm not broke in my 60s. If they're like, I get it. I'm not mad. It's like, even when I lose, I don't like to lose, obviously, my money on Facebook, but I don't even get mad when that happens now. It's like, when I take it as a challenge, I'm like, all right, I should have built other streams of income anyway. So sometimes, there's obstacles in your life to lead to the next thing. It's like, okay, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm such a victim, I lost half my income. I'm like, oh, this is a challenge. I gotta figure out a better way to do this, because, depending on big tech is not the play anyway. So, everything's a challenge. It's all good. Let me read some comments. Let me see. Someone said Babylon B, Seth. I don't really read them that much, but it's like, I do. Here's what I do agree with, though, the people with that. If you take money from one side of an election and not the other, people have a right to ask if that's going to influence you. If I haven't, but if I took $20,000 from Trump or Ye or whatever, like, everybody has a right to be like, is Anomaly being fair, or is he being paid off? There's nothing wrong with that. Even Babylon B, yeah, they're parody, but if you're going to take money from DeSantis, you got to expect, like, if I was taking $20,000 from DeSantis and people noticed that, and I had to, people have every right to question if I'm really being honest. I think that's how. But the thing is, Trump took way more money from that from like 20 corporations, but nobody talks about it. It's like if $20,000 can get a Babylon Bee smear piece on Donald Trump, which I don't even think it did, but if that could happen, what could $100 million do? That's how much Donald Trump got. Over $100 million from corporations for his inauguration. So talk about the 21K. But if you talk about the 21K and ignore the 100 million, are you really being fair? Are you really trying to weed out the corruption? It's hard for me to think yes. I don't know. Let's read a few comments. The Joel Berry guy. Yeah, I saw his tweets. They were very bizarre. Very bizarre. I don't know if he was joking or not, but either way, it was weird. Someone said, what crack cocaine are you smoking? Rightful seat, GTF out of America. England's better for you. I'm not even sure what you're talking about, but I think you're trying to kick me out of America. Listen, I like that American strength though. If you don't like it, get out. The country could use more of that, but I'm not from England, so I'm not going there. Someone said my trust in Trump ended when he became the vaccine salesman, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let people shame you. It's not your job to make excuses for stupidity and clownery. It's his job to stop being a clown. Like, people are going to try to convince me. It's like, yeah, he's being a clown, but he's my clown that constantly gets fooled. He's a good leader, except that he made all the wrong decisions by getting fooled by people. But he's not a fool, but he's a fool. It's like, it's not my job is not to make excuses for the tomfoolery. It's like, it's his job to get better. I don't have a lot, but I have my vote. You can't just bully me into voting for somebody. If that would have worked, I would have voted for the Wicked Witch of whatever her name was. All right. Someone said people love clowns. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I guess in politics, people like clowns, but like actual clowns are actually scary. A lot of people are scared of clowns. Don't let people shave you. I'm not going to let anyone shave me except for myself. I don't know why I said that. It's creepy. Someone said he just has bad people around him. Okay. Then get good people around him. Or just keep having bad people. It's like, it's like, okay, can we fix that? Or are we just going to repeat the same thing? Someone said Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, turned over the economy to corporations per IMF instructions, the CARES Act that Trump signed. The CARES Act was horrible. Mnuchin was a banker, obviously. I don't think the bankers ever lose control, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't make you a bad Republican to call out the CARES Act. The CARES Act was one of the most socialist, scammy things in modern history, and Trump signed it. I'm starting to actually, and I'm a registered Republican, I'm still going to vote for these losers, but I'm starting to despise people like Ellis Stefanik. Oh, we're condemning socialism. They're such phonies. Like the AOC, they're all so fake. Like, you're going to condemn, you did socialism. The CARES Act was socialist, but now you're condemning it. Who buys this crap? Who buys this crap? I don't know. Like, is this like a TPUSA thing? I'm not trying to dunk on them, but they're like, we're condemning socialism. And everyone's like, it doesn't matter. I condemn bigotry. Anomaly on my live stream, I condemn all bigotry in the world and violence. Stop, war, stop. Is it done? Did all the wars stop? Oh no, they didn't? Why didn't they stop? I condemn them. Because condemning doesn't mean anything. What? You're an elected official. You're not a freaking life coach on freaking Zoom. Like, I condemn socialism. I mean, I do. We're the Republican Party. We literally do socialism, but we also condemn it 3 years later after we do it. It's like, who buys this stuff? What are other people saying? I'm guessing that I'm one of the few people that does the news that calls this stuff out, because clearly nobody knows this stuff. It's like people get mad at me and then they like me 7 months later because I just bother them temporarily, and then 7 months later, oh yeah, you were right. I guess, do they not say this on Fox News? Is there anybody on Newsmax, Fox News, or whatever, anyone being yeah, 2020 was very socialist and we should never do that again? But no, it's excuses. Oh, we had to do it. We had to do it because of the virus. Well, then expect another one. If you have to do it because of something, that thing's going to come again if that's what gets you to move. You haven't learned it's like, ugh. And, I mentioned this on my other live stream, but it's kind of funny. Charlie Kirk, listen, he does a lot of good work. I think he's better than a lot of the other rhinos or whatever. But like Charlie Kirk, he had a tweet about, I'll read it so I don't butcher it. It was about Nikki Haley, and like everybody was getting mad at it, and I thought it was so funny. Let me see. Charlie Kirk, Nikki Haley. Sorry, I don't even get mad anymore. I just start laughing. And I know, I don't think he actually likes Nikki Haley, but I don't know. Oh wait, where is it? Where is it? It was something about Nikki Haley being like a strong leader. Oh, here. I don't know. I can't find it. He was like, don't doubt Nikki Haley. She's strong and motivated and she could really win. And I'm like, I think Nikki Haley's like the donor. Like nobody actually really likes her, but like Fox News likes her and the donors like her. Like they hate the people who really run the Republican Party, like hate the Republican voters. They're like, no one likes her, but we're going to run her because the donors like her. Someone said I like her. She's like Dan Crenshaw. She's like Lindsey Graham in feminine form. So maybe she puts on a good show on Fox. That's the problem with like Fox News and stuff. Listen, I'm not trying to hate on everybody. There's some good people. But besides Tucker Carlson, all of Fox News puts all these snakes on television and makes them like, here's Lindsey Graham talking about abortion. Oh, he sounds reasonable. Here's Mike Pompeo selling his new book. Oh, he sounds like a cool guy. Here's, Nikki Haley talking about gender transformation. She's like, it's bad, okay? And everyone's like, oh, she sounds like just like me. But they're not just like you. They put the worst people on TV and make them look like moderate and reasonable. But Nikki Haley is like a Lindsey Graham. Like she's like a Lindsey Graham and a Mitch McConnell. Like, but they make her seem because no one gives her real interviews and stuff. I couldn't possibly trust her less. But I understand why people would like her because they'll put her on these shows and be like, look how reasonable she looks. It's like, yeah, I mean, Mitch McConnell looks reasonable too. He also just looks like a turtle. So it's like, he'll be like, the Democrats are corrupt. It's like the dude is so old, his nose is like falling off his face. It's just like, the Democrats are corrupt. Yeah, he's on Mr. Collins. I just take the money and he's gonna what's wrong? And it'd be like, Mitch McConnell seems pretty reasonable. It's like, I'm sure you could hear a clip of him and be like, yeah, that guy is just like me. But it's like, I don't know. And then I just seem like a hater, though. But it's like, I didn't choose everyone to be fake. There's like 3 people that aren't fake. And it's like, it makes me look like such a hater. But it's like, I can't live in a world where I'm like, Adam Schiff sounds pretty reasonable. Like, no, he doesn't. Adam Schiff sucks. Like, Dan Crenshaw, I mean, he's kind of a snake, but I mean, he did good on the... It's like, ugh. Someone said real quick, anomaly, we know what happened to that 100 million that Trump took. I don't know, but let me explain it real quick because both parties need to figure this out because this seems to be like the biggest scam that I didn't even know until a couple of years ago. Like I just figured this out, so I'm not gonna like bash people for like not knowing it. Just like when someone showed it to me, you just don't get mad at me. Take it and use it as part of your thing. Google inauguration donation money. So every year, donors get on this side, and people back candidates. But once the election's over, that's when all the corporations come. That's why nothing ever seems to change that much because this is what they do. Okay. All the people who weren't backing Donald Trump, right? Because they're like, oh, he can't win. We don't believe in him. Then Donald Trump. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh, what did you call him? No, I don't know. I'm just joking. But Donald Trump wins the election. That's when all the corporations swarm him, and they gave him 100 million plus for his inauguration, including Pfizer, Bank of America, God knows what other corporations. They do the same thing to Biden. They do the same thing to Obama. That's their way of doubling down after the election and be like, oh, shoot, it doesn't matter if we paid off Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton's not going to be president. We just wasted our money. Now it's time to pay off Donald Trump. And they do that with every president. Here's the problem with Donald Trump is people like him so much, they think he doesn't do that. He did do it, though. He does do it. So it's like he's becoming a problem because people are like, Anomaly, you don't get it. He's so different. No, he does that too. And if I did that too, I don't care if you like me. You should pay attention to it. Because if I take $100 million from corporations, I'm not doing it for fun. I guarantee you they're going to control me in some sort of way. So you get what I'm saying? It's like Trump is so likable that people just don't want to believe he did that. He's not the only president who's taking money, but the problem is that they're all doing it. When I mentioned he took $1 million from Pfizer, one of the biggest complaints is like, Anomaly, they all do that. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, that's your excuse? They all do it? Yes, they all do it. But that's the problem. If he ends up doing what they all do, it defeats the purpose of him being different from everyone else. How do people not see that? They start turning into like shills and morons. Like, I mean, but Pfizer buys off all the politicians, not just Trump. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes, correct. That's the problem. Don't we want someone that doesn't sell out to Big Pharma? No, you want, like, it's crazy that people don't think this when they type this stuff to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem. And Democrats used to care about that. I don't know, like, are they all like Sam Harris or something? They're like so delusional. It's like, remember when Democrats actually used to care about that? They'd be like, corporations are buying off the presidents. Like, yeah. Wait, like, did those people even exist anymore? Is there a single Democrat that actually cares about that now? Like, what? But now the right doesn't care about it because Trump did it. Like, it's, dude, these elites are like laughing hysterically at both sides. They're like, look how dumb these people are. They're like, well, Trump, why are you like Biden? But Anomaly, you're Rhino. It's like, dude, the elite, the bankers are like, oh. It's like that meme where they look like lizards. They're like, look at them. They like, you know, it's like they're probably laughing from their yachts, just laughing at us. Like, dude, it's been 10 years and we actually got dumber. We somehow got, like, Democrats have devolved. If you look at the Democrats 8 years ago versus now, they're like devolving. And then you look at like Republicans from like 2017 to now, it was like the movement of like, we're going to drain the swamp. And now it's like, Anomaly, I mean, he worked with the swamp, took money from the swamp, hired the swamp, and did what the swamp did because he was just too foolish to beat the swamp. Like, that was not the movement we were a part of in 2018. The movement was, we're going to drain the swamp by the end of the term, not get left in a lockdown and make excuses for why the swamp won. Like, both parties are devolving. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're unraveling both parties. Someone said, I love Devo. Devo's pretty crazy. That Whip It video by Devo, Whip It God. He's like, Devo's trippy. You know, he was probably on something. Or maybe he was just creative. I don't know. Someone said, brought to you by Pfizer. This television network brought to you by Pfizer. This television network brought to you by Pfizer. The Super Bowl sponsored by Pfizer. The NHL sponsored by Pfizer. Tennis tournament sponsored by Pfizer. Biden sponsored by Pfizer. Kentucky Republican sponsored by Pfizer. Trump sponsored by Pfizer. Anomaly, how dare you say that Trump... It's like, but everyone's doing it, Anomaly. Yeah, that's the issue. The problem is everyone's doing it. It's pretty funny. Someone said, couldn't agree more, my man. What happened? They're turning the Republican Party into the Democratic Party. Literally. I mean, one funny thing that I thought of recently too is like, it's a good gotcha moment for like Hillary when like they were like, Joe Biden locked up so many people. Like, Joe Biden's racist. He locked up black people. Like, and then on the same hand, Republicans are like, but Democrats are too weak on crime. It's like an oxymoron where it's like, on one hand, all Republicans want Democrats to be tougher on crime because Democrats aren't being tough on crime, and Democrats are ruining the country because they're not tough on crime. But then when Republicans get in debates, they'll be like, remember when Bill Clinton was tough on crime? He's a racist. Like, that's how stupid the Republican Party is. Like, he's racist for being tough on crime, but you should be tough on crime, but we're going to call him racist when you are. How are they going to be tough on crime when you call him a racist for what they did 20 years ago? Was Bill Clinton a racist? I mean, I don't know. 3 strikes, I guess What is it not racist to give someone 7 strikes? Oh, 3 strikes is too short. We should give people 7 strikes. Well, then crime's going to go up because people are going to have no like. I understand that it's difficult. You want to give people redemption, etc., and you don't want people to like go to jail for smoking weed on a corner. But it's like you can't really have both. Either there's tougher on crime, or you just let people get away with everything. But the last time Democrats didn't let people get away with everything, you go back in time and call him a racist for doing so. Like Obama, when he got into office, pretended to be a Christian conservative. Like, oh, they all disagreed with gay marriage, and now the log cabin Republicans run the Republican Party, and it's like if you agree with Democrats on gay marriage 20 years ago, you're a homophobe. Like you can't possibly disagree with it. It's like, the Republican Party is just like a further left version of the Democrats from 20 years ago. I don't care what people. It's just funny because like this is why the Republicans don't do anything. Like they're like, stop calling us a racist, you anti-Semite. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you anti-Semitic because you said there were Jewish space lasers. And no, you're anti-Semitic because you don't like Israel as much as I like Israel. No, you're Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're anti-Semitic because you said Jewish space lasers. Well, no, you're anti-Semitic because you won't take money from Israel. I mean, how dare you talk about Palestine, you racist? Like, this is and people are like, oh yeah, we stuck it to Ilhan Omar. She's the real anti-Semite. And like, no, you're the real anti-Semite. I never said Jewish space lasers as you did. And it's like, it becomes we condemn socialism. We condemn, yay. I mean, we condemn Nick Fuentes. I mean, we condemn. It's like, yeah, that's all they do. They call each other racist. They cry anti-Semitism. They condemn dinner meetings. They condemn socialism after they do socialism. And then they tell the Democrats they were racist when they were tough on crime, yet they want them to be tough on crime. The Republican Party is the Babylon Bee shit show. But people still, like, it's not just the rhinos. The whole party's a doofus fest. But it's because nobody tells the truth. So everybody just like buys into it because they watch the news, and it's like, oh, you think I'm an anti-Semite? Because I said that, it's all about the Benjamins. You said Jewish space lasers. And it's like, did she really say Jewish space lasers? If so, that's hilarious. If not, it's a lie. Either way, I'm not like, did she really say that? I just hear them say that she said that all the time. Yeah, I said Jewish space lasers back when I liked QAnon, but I'm a changed woman. Now I've been lobbied by Israel, and I went to the Holocaust Memorial to apologize with Nick Cannon and Whoopi Goldberg. So I can't be an anti-Semite, because now I take money from Israel, and I know that they're our best ally. And I went with Nick Cannon to talk to a rabbi. And you're an anti-Semite because you said it's all about money. And it's like, dang, she really proved them right. It's like, they tried to say I was like some psychotic Democrat lady was trying to say I'm an anti-Semitic rapper. I'm like, really? That's my new title, anti-Semitic rapper? Like, it's almost like they just want you to lie. I can't lie. So I'll tell you the truth. I don't hate Jews or Israel. I actually have a lot of friends, and I'm not going to play that card. Then it's like, oh, look, I have black friends. I'm so not racist. Yeah, we get it. I don't have to justify myself, but, there's a lot of Jewish people that I love. There's a lot of Israelis that are great people. I don't hate them, but it's almost like they just want me to like go to a museum and then they apologize. Like, it's like Nick Cannon's like, I did say that lighter melanin people, were inferior. And I basically said all white people are less than me. But then I talked about the Rothschilds, and then they said it was anti-Semitic. And I've learned my lesson because I went to my local Holocaust museum, and I'm a changed person. It's like, Whoopi Goldberg's like, I used to hate white people, but then I went on a week tour, and now I don't hate the Jews no more. Like, is that what they want me to do? Like, go to a museum? They're like, oh, if you go to a Holocaust museum, you really will change your way. Like, you think Nick Cannon's like talking to a rabbi? Like, he's like, I'm so different than I was 3 days ago. I mean, I used to think white people were genetically inferior, but now that Viacom or whoever sent me a rabbi, or God, I don't know, I'm just like joking, doing parody, but it's like, oh, they sent me a left-wing rabbi to yell at me. Like, now I've learned my lesson about the Jews. I have a whole different perspective. They're just like us black people. It's like, is that what people want me to do? I could do that. It's just not gonna like change my ways. Like I you know, but I don't know. They're like, sit there and watch Steven Spielberg movies 50 times in a row until you learn your lesson. You're like, I am a changed man. I once thought that APAC and other political action committees and Sheldon Adelson were donating hundreds of millions of dollars to pass speech laws in America. But now that I've watched Steven Spielberg movies on loop for 50 years straight, I have decided that I was being a total bigot. Nobody pays off politicians. It is anti-Semitic to talk about lasers. It's anti-Semitism to talk about Big Pharma. And Albert Bourla is a great Jewish man. I don't know what got into me. I am sorry. I will donate all my money to the Iron Dome. Like that's what they want. And it's just like, they're like, okay, Whitey, you learned your lesson. Put a Black Lives Matter shirt on and get the hell out of here. I'm like, thank you. They do matter. They do. I swear. I promise. I know that. Put it on. Anyway, someone said the Trump grunts and groans never get old. I'm sure they get old to some people. A few Trump grunts and I'm losing like hundreds of followers. You know, I'm like, the vaccine saved 100 million lives. 50 followers gone. They're like, I was with you, Anomaly, when you talked about the space lasers and their Israeli origin. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, are there space lasers? I don't know. I'm not an expert in space laser technology. I stick to what's culturally appropriated. I stick to Chinese spy balloons, okay? Let's stay focused. Let's talk about the Chinese balloons. I started like joking, making theories on Twitter. I was like, hopefully this doesn't end up in an article because I was just kind of trolling. But it was like, I was like, you know, do clouds even exist? Or have clouds always been very thin Chinese spy balloons, you know? Or like, is the moon really the moon? Or is it just one giant Chinese spy satellite balloon? You know, am I joking? Am I not? I don't know. Does it matter? I'm joking, but also, you know, the moon is a little sus. I don't know if China has something to do with it, but the moon's a little sussy. Someone said, oh, I'll be back when we can really talk and get somewhere. God bless. See, Ruth is like, I'll be back. I was with Anomaly for an hour, but he let out a few Trump groans and a space laser comment, and we're not getting anywhere with this type of rhetoric. I'll be back. It's fine. I understand. You know, the comedy's not for everyone. Someone said, that's not a moon, it's the Death Star. Darth Vader might be true. It could be very Truman Show. To those who've seen the Truman Show, shh. You know what I'm saying? The plot of the Truman Show, he was just trapped in a dome. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay? Neil the Spaceman Tyson. He doesn't want to talk about that. Thank you, friendly, brilliant. You're friendly and brilliant. Basically says, I haven't seen Anomaly for years now. I found you. Thank you. On YouTube. Yeah, so here's what's going on. I'm not going to play the victim because I don't think I'm being targeted per se. But Facebook prioritizes reels and posts. Like I could post a picture post, get like 5,000 shares, but they're not. I think they're trying to phase out live streams. So if you're one of the 1.6 million people on Facebook, I'm not a victim. I'm fine. I'm a little sad. I might cry. But in general, you know, there are other ways to find. It's almost worth it to subscribe on YouTube, even if you want to watch on Facebook, because I believe YouTube gives out notifications more. But, you know, the thing is on Facebook, I'm still getting like 40 to 100,000 views on certain streams. So they're not really suppressing it. It's just like they don't let you see it live and then they let you see it in your feed or something. I guess I don't really care, but, you know, they used to send out notifications and I have like 10,000 people, but it's okay. You might not see it, but I do think it's possible they will have hologram sports players soon. Well, they kind of did, not that, but do you remember the fans, dude? That was like 2020 was such a stupid year. It was like watching like a horror movie where they're like, let's look at the fans. And they were all like cardboard cutouts. They're like, the fans are going wild today at Laker Stadium. And it's like cardboard cutouts. They're like, help me. I've turned into a cardboard cutout. I used to be a real boy, But Adam Silver used his space laser. Adam Silver used this space laser. We're not going to say what race the space laser was, but he turned me into a cardboard cutout. That's what you get for rooting for Kyrie Irving. What the hell? Why would you watch that Amazon documentary? Repent. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, but that was really creepy. Then it's like, listen to the roaring applause, and then they just press the money. Adam Silver hit me with the laser, and he told me to never root for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's... It's sad because Andrew Wiggins didn't want to get the vaccine for the Golden State Warriors. He didn't want to get the vaccine, but it was basically like, get the vaccine, boy. And he got it because he wanted to keep his job. And it's really sad because Andrew Wiggins, I don't think he'd ever been an all-star, and he was kind of like a bust. I think he was a first-round pick, or the first pick. He had an all-star season, right? Vaccinated, all-star. And then he won the championship, and they asked him, and he said he still regretted getting the COVID vaccine. Isn't that sad? This poor guy got forced into getting the vaccine, won the championship, made the all-star, like basically had a career-defining year, and he still regretted getting forced vaccinated. So sad. So evil what they did. And this is like this is another thing that annoys me about everybody. No, but the Republican Party, it's like they spend more time condemning Ye for a dinner meeting than they do condemning the evil NBA and San Francisco. You know what I'm saying? You rarely hear them like, when's the last time you've heard like a passionate speech from a Republican like politician about how evil mandates were? DeSantis did it a little bit. That's why he got so popular. Trump never did it. The GOP never does it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, like you don't really hear them passionately talking about that. They're so busy condemning socialism and condemning anti-Semitism because they just are all sold out to Israel and take money and then cry anti-Semitism when you notice that they took money. But in general, it's like, give me a 10-minute passionate speech about the poor people that got forced vaccinated at work and, you know, against their will, and how evil that was and how you're never going to do it again. You don't hear that because the Republican Party is like such a loser party, and the Democrats are fake too. But like that's a point that could actually win a lot of votes. And the thing about a lot of people just say this because they have to in their head justify why Trump is being such a loser, but they'll be like, oh, he has to sell the vaccine that much. Like, no one's selling the vaccine that much except for Trump. He doesn't have to do it. Look at the booster rate compliance. It's not popular. It's not popular among people who didn't get it, and it's not even popular among people who got it. Most people who got the vaccine the first 2 times don't even want to get it again. So it's actually a losing issue. He's losing his voters. He's losing independent voters. He's not doing it for you or to win the election. He's doing it for big pharma. So it's like a real winning strategy to get moderates and independents can be like, you know what? I got it. You know, like if you're DeSantis and you actually got the pump or whatever, you're like, I got it. But in hindsight, it's actually not what we were told. And now we need to fight the corruption so this never happens again. That's a real, like you can win the country without selling the vaccine. It's not popular. It's not like half the country loves it. The boosters, the people are like, I got 5 booster shots. Like these are people in Democrat cities that don't vote Republican. It became a political issue. There's nothing political about the vaccine per se, like in theory. But people are so brainwashed, it became a political issue. So where do you see people that are like, I proudly got 6 shots in San Francisco, never going to vote for Republicans? In Los Angeles, never going to vote for Republicans. It's like a cultural thing. In these big cities, LA, San Francisco, New York City, you have people who got like 6 vaccines and they're like, shit. They're like, I did it for the, like, okay, it's not even, but like, you know, the average person, the average independent, the average Democrat did not get 4 shots or 5 shots. The average person got like 1 or 2, not like 6. So it's not popular to just be like, this is so great, because if everybody thought it was so great, they'd keep getting it. Why are the compliance rates like 5%, 10%, 15%? That means 80 to 90% of people aren't getting it, which means you don't have to sell it to be popular because no one wants it. It's not like Trump selling the vaccines making it sell more. He's just appeasing the big people. Like, you get what I'm like I was joking about this a couple months ago, but it's like Everyone knows there's a vaccine. It's not like you need to sell it to us anymore. We've been sold that product more than any other product in modern history ever. It was the biggest propaganda campaign of my entire lifetime. So as if we need Donald Trump to sell it, like, oh, it's 2023. Did you hear Donald Trump on Newsmax? Apparently there's a COVID vaccine. Really, Jim? I never even knew that there's a COVID vaccine. Yeah, neither did I. I had no idea. Thank gosh Trump on Newsmax said it saved 100 million lives, because I'd actually never even heard. Like, that doesn't exist. Everyone knows that there's a vaccine. I don't think there's a single person in America that's like, what? There's a new booster out? No way. Really? Like, did you not get the message from everywhere all the time? You can't do anything in this world. Like, you turn on your light and your lights are sponsored by Pfizer. You're like, what the hell? Where did that come from? They're like, hey, did you know there's a new booster out? You're like, the frick, my light switch is selling vaccines to me. Like, we all know it. No one needs to sell them anymore. Everyone knows. And let's see the booster compliance rate. Let me Google it. Booster compliance rate, USA. Okay. 51% of the country is fully vaccinated. Oh no, that's like a while ago. Let me see. Boosters work. Where's the 2023 ones? Let me see. Is there even let me see. Fourth booster low compliance. I remember seeing the rates. I don't even know how to find it, but last time I checked, it was super low. Like, it kept going down for every shot. I don't know. How many boosters are there? I don't know. 5, 6, 4? I don't know. Could you imagine having 5 or 6? I feel like it's almost impressive at that point. It's like, there's like, I'm actually impressed by people who've gotten 4, 5, 6 boosters, because at that point, it's like a hot dog eating competition. There's nothing impressive. Oh, wow, you ate a Nathan's hot dog. Cool. I did that 20 times in my life. Wow. But if you eat 60 Nathan's hot dogs, it's like you're Joey Chestnut, or you're whatever that Asian guy's name is. What's the Japanese guy's name? He used to be my favorite before he got kicked out. So it's like boosters. Like, wow, you got a booster. But you got to give it to these Democrats. Like, I'm on my 50th booster. It is kind of special. At this point, they're becoming like athletes, They're like professional pincushions. You're like, wow, you got a booster. I'm on my 15th booster. That is actually impressive. I'm intrigued. Let's get coffee, but stay 20 feet away from me just in case, because you might be radioactive. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Fact checkers, stop, please, please, please. Fact checkers, no. Who are you? Why do you live in France? Why are you taking away my income from a foreign country? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'll vote. It's like, you gotta watch yourself. The fact checkers are lurking all the time. It's parody. You've seen 6 boosters. Somebody's got to get them. I don't know who they are, but there's got to be someone. Like, they should do like a reality show with the boosted people. Like, hi, my name's Jessica. I got 9 booster shots. They're like, my name's Paul. I live in San Francisco. I'm a simple guy. I like parasailing. I'm on my 14th booster shot. Some would say it's not political, but I did want to stick it to Trump, even though he was the one who rushed the vaccine. I don't give him any credit, actually. I think he had nothing to do with it. It was Biden, so I've gotten 16 boosters. My name's Tiffany. I'm on my 50th booster shot. I may or may not have Guillain-Barré syndrome. My left side of my face is permanently paralyzed, but if I could do it again, I'd do it again. And you're like, oh my God. Like, this is better than the Kardashians. It's like you get all, She's like, I got that Justin Bieber thing with my face, except mine didn't go away. But now I'm a reality star. Everything happens for a reason. God is great. You're like, oh my gosh, what the hell? Gene said, my brother passed away from myocarditis. I miss him. I believe it's from the blank. Thanks for keeping it real. Well, Gene, God bless you. Sorry about that. That's horrible. It's rough timing too, but that reality show would be a smash. Someone said they censored the liberals, Democrats from the truth about the... Well, yeah, I mean, you have to like seek it, because if you're... I mean, if you're just like believing what you're told, it sounds crazy to like someone like, how could you not tell though? Like you watch, if you watch like basketball or something, it's like I don't even watch anymore because it's just so gross. It's like it's like, the game sponsored by Pfizer. Here's the commercial. They're like, here's a pill, here's a pill, here's a pill, here's a pill. Taco Bell, get fat. Here's a pill. McDonald's, pill, 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 pill. Now back to the game. Black Lives Matter. Put on your shirt. It's like people don't realize that there's some sort of agenda going on. Like they're just like, yeah, they're blocking the information from everybody. But at a certain point, you have to understand that it's happening and you have to go seek it. Like you can't just like follow, I don't know. I talked to my one buddy a couple of years ago and he was like, I listen to NPR because it's moderate. I'm like, and I'm not saying I listen to like I'll listen to a little bit of everything, but like NPR is not moderate. It's basically like CNN for hipsters. You know what I'm saying? They take like basically like the most basic fake propaganda and just put glasses on it and an oat milk latte in its hand. It's like the same thing, just like in the hipster version. And it's like they're not. I remember they did an interview with Milo Yiannopoulos and they like banned it because they couldn't even air it. It's like, God forbid one person comes in and like breaks the narrative of what they're saying, they like can't even allow it to exist. So, I don't think NPR is I mean, there is some good information there, but I don't think they're moderate or even killed. I think they're so far left. They're like like Princeton or Yale or Harvard, like these like Ivy League schools. Like, yeah, they're smart, but they're like so far left. If you're like, hey, my name's Bill. I'm new here. They're like, yeah, Bill, you're a Democrat, right? You're like, no, I'm an independent, but I might vote for DeSantis. They're like, you fascist, you piece of garbage, Hitler. Like, that's like, they're so far left. If you're like a moderate Republican, they think you're literally Hitler. Where it's like, God forbid you were actually like a libertarian / conservative with like further right economic policies, they'd freak out. Like, what do you want to kill everybody? You're like, literally no. I just want a functioning country. They're like, oh yeah, functioning country, huh? That's what the Nazi party said. You're like, oh my gosh, like they're. And the crazy thing about those type of people is they're actually manifesting the leader that they don't want. From my understanding of history, if you look up fascism, I don't think it existed before 1900. If you look up Nazis, like Nazis haven't been around for thousands of years. They were like one group of people in Germany, like the Nationalist Socialist Party. If you look at communism and some of these other ideologies, they've been around for hundreds of years. And in certain places, fascism was the reactionary to communism. I'm not saying it's right. Anytime you give government too much power, it's going to be corrupt. You have fake leaders, controlled opposition, etc. But all I'm saying is like the commies never want to stop being annoying. And then someone pops up and they act like it came out of nowhere. It's like maybe if you didn't kill millions of people and destroy multiple countries, that guy would have never existed. Maybe if you didn't ruin entire economy. So it's like if you the craziest part is like, I don't know very many people at all that actually like fascism or Nazism, but it's like the people that claim they're fighting it so hard, the left, are the ones who are manifesting it because it's like, San Francisco is a shithole. If it goes to shit for 30 years, eventually like people are going to wake up and they're going to swing in the other direction. So if you don't want the pendulum to swing in the other direction, you got to stop pulling it so far left. Like, say what you want about Trump, but he's not even that far right. Trump is actually I was just thinking about it today. He talks a big game, but he really didn't do that much, to be honest. He wasn't that authoritarian at all. So it's like if Trump is too, like, he definitely talks wild, but he doesn't do that much. Like if Trump is too far right for you and like, like he's like, oh, I'll do DACA, I'll pass prison reform. I'm not even going to do that much. And they're like, oh my God, that's literally Hitler. Like you won't even accept somebody that's not that far right. And if God forbid someone comes like Ted Cruz or something, they're like, Ted Cruz is a fascist. Like, Marco Rubio is a fascist. It's like Marco Rubio is just a loser. But, a politician, whatever. He's a fascist. Everyone's a fascist. The people that call everyone a fascist are manifesting a fascist. The people that call everyone Nazis are manifesting that type of movement. Doesn't make it right. I'm just saying it's like they don't realize that fascists didn't even exist for hundreds of years. until commies went insane. And it's like, you tell them to stop, they don't do it. You tell them to stop, they don't do it. Things get so bad, people are like, all right, I'll take that guy, you know? And then that guy comes, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't want that. Yeah, you did. You know, it's like, I don't understand what they're doing. But the best way to stop a fascist is to, if you're left wing, is to not be so psychotically insane and delusional and completely like degenerate and immoral and lose so many people. Like, I don't know. Someone said, hey, Anomaly, you should read a book called Anarchy, State, and Utopia. Possibly. I mean, are they suggesting anarchy is utopia, or are they saying it's not? Someone said the trouble is authoritarianism, which our government has become. Yeah, I mean, anytime, you know, to me, there's like a flaw to all systems. Like, for example, like if you have like communism, totalitarianism, total government tyranny, right? I don't have to tell people how that could be bad. If your leader's bad, it's going to get bad. Even if your leader's good, it's going to hard to be good for too long. And when the government has total authority, someone had mentioned China. It's a good example. China is very, I would say, more communist, more totalitarian than America. So if you look at China, there's certain things that they do better than America, and there's certain things that they do worse than America. Let's start with better. Apparently, there's very little crime in Shanghai. Why? Not only demographics, etc., but also a large part of it, I think, is the demographics. But it's like a thing where it's like you just don't do that because they're so collectivist. They're not out killing each other. But the thing is, then when COVID comes around, they say, we have a zero COVID policy. We're going to shut down the whole country and make sure no one gets COVID. So the good part of the Chinese totalitarianism is like no crime. The bad part is the government ends up doing the crime to you, and you're a powerless pleb who loses everything. So what's the cost of safety is freedom. But you're not even really, like, to shut everyone in their house because of COVID is insane. But that's what they do. But there's no crime. So you can do certain things with like totalitarianism, but there's also takeaways. When it comes to like anarchy and no government control, you know, I've been following a lot of libertarians recently. I agree with them on taxes and a lot of issues. But one thing that I think they're naive and foolish about is like police and policing the cities, where it's like, in my opinion, in major cities where the crime is high, although there are corrupt police, the police aren't the problem. And if you have a shitty, and I'm not trying to be rude, but if you have a shitty city and, you know, the good people are leaving and the people there are acting immoral and it's getting worse and worse, the police are going to get worse too. It's not like the police are going to be really good and the city's really bad. And, you know, like it's no, everything's going to go to shit in a shitty city. But in general, you know, I think with you have anarchy or libertarianism, the truth is like there is going to be a tribe. Like we're not tribalists. Well, then your tribe is the people who aren't tribalists. That's your new tribe. Well, we don't believe in this. It's like, well, you know, you have to have some sort of counter for foreign invasion or a gang or a cartel. Because if you don't, they're going to take over. Eventually, the strongest force on the ground is going to take over to some extent. So if it's not the police or the government, it's going to be someone else. In a utopia, it would be a militia. It would be a militia of great Americans that are holding down their city. But in a bad society, it would be, you know, a gang or a cartel that's even worse than the police. So I don't think it would necessarily be better. And it's like, even if there was private owned, you know, like security, go to a bar. Not every private security is like a great person. They could be more corrupt than cops most of the time and have less oversight. So, you know, I see the flaws to every system. It's like communism, totalitarianism, the cons are obvious, but also when you have no government, no police, and just like total freedom, you know, it's almost like being a man. Like you have to have discipline to be great. If you have too much freedom, you could do whatever you want, but doing whatever you want isn't necessarily good for you or other people. So there's going to be some sort of power struggle, whether it's communism. Oh, we're going to all share the money. No, you're not. Oh, you know, libertarianism, anarchy, we're all going to, no, you're also not going to, you know, I prefer towards libertarianism and like republicanism. If it was real, it's fake now, but like, I prefer somewhere like a government, but not that big. But, you know, I think just like you're not going to get a good leader if the people aren't good, a society is based on the people there. And, you know, if you look at some of these cities like Memphis, where everyone's freaking out about, why were those cops so corrupt? You know, it's like, well, where do they get the cops from the city of that has a lot of crime? They're being easier on, defunding and, we're going to lower the bar. So, the quality goes down. Just like if you go to a 7-Eleven in a bad neighborhood, it looks like a third world country. If you go to a 7-Eleven in a good neighborhood, it's beautiful. It's like I've been to a Jack in the Box in a nice neighborhood. Oh, it's nice. You go to a Jack in the Box in the hood, there's someone in there that might stab you. Or in Hollywood, that's the worst Jack in the Box in the world. So that's going to happen to societies. Here's the thing that it doesn't matter what political party, Republican, Democrat, libertarianism, is people got to get better. Here's the sad reality of these cities. I don't personally believe that crime is made from poverty. And I don't think people can be quote unquote racist and be like, oh, those people are incapable of stopping killing each other. But to me, that's more quote unquote racist than saying they have the ability to stop killing each other and they should, where people make excuses for it. And in my opinion, in these high crime cities, the reason that the murders continue is because people justify it. When you look at mainstream black activism, they're justifying it. When you look at certain black conservative activists, some are condemning it, but some are justifying the violence and justifying the murder and justifying the corruption. And in my opinion, if you justify it, no matter how rich or poor you are, doesn't matter if it's a war in Iraq or in Memphis, it's like you're justifying murder and evil. That means you think that getting more money makes you a better person. Like, just because you're broke doesn't mean you need to kill your neighbor. It actually is a terrible idea. You'll go to jail forever, and there's no incentive to do so. You're not going to benefit from that in any sort of way, and you're going to feel guilty your whole life. So, the weird part in American cities is it doesn't really matter. Yeah, Democrats are making it worse because they're weak on crime. But the truth is Republicans don't want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the culture, the mindset, the families. I mean, some people talk about the last part, but it's like, libertarians can fix the city, and neither could a lot of people, because the people there are immoral. You got to make the people more moral. And if the people are happy in these neighborhoods saying, because we're of this race and because we're this, we're going to make excuses for murder and it's everyone else's fault. Well, it's never going to get better. And you look at that sort of thing and it's like, no wonder it never gets better, because people are justifying it. And you go to certain Asian communities, doesn't matter how poor they are, they don't justify murder. You go to certain immigrant communities, doesn't matter how poor they are, they don't justify murder. The murder rate of Indians is low in America. Why? Because their culture doesn't justify it. In fact, if someone does a murder in their community, they're going to point and be like, that guy's messed up. Like, that's evil. But you go to other groups and they justify it. That's why it continues, because they're like, no, it's everyone else's fault. No, we don't want to stop. No, we don't want to tell people not to do that. Yes, there's an excuse for it. Well, if there's an excuse for it, no, and then all the activism's fake and lopsided, and it's like, yeah, of course it's never going to end, and it's deeper than politics or policing. The people there are doing evil stuff, and they don't want to stop, and they want to justify it, and there's hundreds of billions of dollars being pumped into activism telling people that it's okay to do that because of their race/financial thing, instead of being like, no, that's insane. It's insane that the murder rate's so high in that community. It needs to stop, because the biggest, I would say, person losing out is going to be your own community, who's getting killed at a way higher rate than others. Like that, no, that's not a message that's popular, and it's not popular in some cases in both sides. Well, why would it get better in these cities then? I don't, it's like, it's not going to. So, that's a problem that America has that's different than a lot of other countries, except for Europe now, because of, there's pros and cons to every system. And there's pros and cons to doing certain things. Like, for example, in China, you have less crime for demographic reasons and totalitarian, like, groupthink reasons, but also they lock each other in the houses for COVID. So it's like, I don't want to live in communist China. I see the pros, I see the cons. I'm not interested. But you got to be honest about it, not just say it's all good or it's all bad. Then you go to a society like here where they say that, oh, everything's so good to like mix everything up all the time. And it's like, the more we do that, the better. In some cases, sure, food is better in big cities, right? If you move from a big city elsewhere, you're like, the food sucks here, unless it's like really good local or something. But it's like in a city, you have a lot of people, a lot of different cultures, a lot of competition. And in many ways, that's good. They have good nightlife. They have good clubs. They have good food, good culture. But then crime tends to be high. And if you look at countries like Japan and, Asia, it's like their crime is low for two reasons, I believe. One, the demographics, it's mostly their people, and they don't do that for whatever reason. It's just not cultural for them to kill each other. And, it's also like a collectivist mentality. Like if the government of China says everybody wear masks, they all listen, which is actually not a good thing. That's not good. So it's like, but I'm being reasonable. There's pros and cons of both. But in America, you can't even talk about the cons. It's like, oh, it's all pros. It's all great. It's actually not. San Francisco's getting worse. Why? Los Angeles is getting worse. Why? Look at the cities with the top 20 crime rates in America. You could say, oh, well, it's a Republican state. Well, it's a Democrat city. Sure. But what is the other commonality between the top 20 most crime-filled cities in the world? I don't know. Try to figure it out and see what names you get called. Why? Because apparently our society wants that to continue. In a society that doesn't want that to continue, they'd be like, this is completely inexcusable. Okay? There's poor people in other countries that don't have the crime rates. It doesn't, and this doesn't make me a bad person for saying this. I don't believe people of any race are incapable of not killing each other, because I've seen it all over the world. There's communities all over the world from every continent of people that don't kill each other, okay? And then also poverty. I don't believe poverty makes you better or worse. There are billionaires who commit crimes. There are rich people who get out of bad situations and keep that same mentality and end up in violent situations even when they have $100 million in the bank account. So people try to act like I'm such a bad person for thinking this. I'm actually a better person because I don't think money makes you good or bad. I mean, there's terrible rich people. There's terrible poor people. I don't think being broke makes you violent. I actually don't think that's the case at all. I mean, you might have certain problems getting certain places. I've been broke. It's harder to get places when you don't have a car. It's harder to get to work when you have to take 3 buses. But at no point did I ever want to violently lash out at somebody, for multiple reasons. One, I'm not that type of person. Also, there's no benefit to that. You got to stop making excuses for it, because you got to understand when people do that, their whole lives get ruined. Their lives get ruined. Their families' lives get ruined. We need to have a zero tolerance policy for that and say, listen, we could try to help you. We could try to get you out of this situation. But a zero tolerance policy for murder and violent crime, because you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your family, you're hurting your community, and you're also hurting other people and blaming them, and it's got to stop. And we'll all take accountability, but it's got to stop. But in this society, the biggest activists that say they're standing up against racism, they make excuses for violent crime. They ignore its existence. They act like it's not there. It's all the police's fault. Every libertarian account I follow, everything's police, 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 because it's trendy, because it's safe. It's something you can do and get left-wingers or right-wingers to get on with you. But the truth is, it's low-hanging fruit, and it's disingenuous, because for every police encounter that's bad, I'm not opposed to it. Call them out, call out the corruption. There's thousands of people getting killed in the streets by other normal people. But libertarian accounts don't want to post that because it ruins their whole fake fantasy, which is why they're going nowhere. And they just circle jerk their own opinions to each other without any true power. So it's like, yeah, that exists. It's worth calling out. But how come I never see them talk about the egregious, insane things that people are doing to each other in these cities every single day? That's insane, because no one wants to address that. They act like it's okay, but it's not. And the sad part is, if you go to a lot of these cities where the crime rate's high and the demographics are mostly black, there's more good people in those cities than there are bad people. It's not like, oh, everybody's in on it. No, go to one. I mean, if you really go to one of these cities and go around, not everybody's a gangbanger. Not everybody's in on it. There's thousands of mothers there trying to raise their kids. There's thousands of kids that are into tech and video games, and they're just like everyone else. But that's where they live, and they have no other choice, just like people have no choice where you're born. That's their neighborhood, and they have to stay on the straight and narrow and get to school, wherever they got to go, and get out of there. And a lot of people do get out of there. But the sad part is some people don't. You know what I'm saying? Some of these kids that are getting shot in the head are completely innocent. They're not gangbangers. They're not in on it. They get caught by a stray bullet. They're in a bad situation. So if you really want to help people, you got to weed out the crime in these neighborhoods. But BLM, honestly, most right-wing black activism, most libertarian activism, they don't want to say the obvious, which is violent crime in America is too high. People are killing each other too much in these neighborhoods, and it should be completely inexcusable, and it needs to stop regardless of ethnicity, and it's got to stop regardless of financial status, because being rich or poor does not make you a violent person. Okay. Obviously there's going to be trends. If you're poor, you're likely to. But here's the thing, even with drugs, I don't even think it's true. Like rich people overdose all the time. So yeah, if you're broke and you're in the middle of South Dakota, they have a huge drug problem, right? There's a lot of people doing meth and drugs. But here's the thing, you go to billionaires and there's also a lot of drugs. So it's like, you could tell poor people in rural white areas like, oh, you're poor, so it's okay to do drugs. But it's really not. And do poor people do drugs more than rich people? Maybe statistically, but honestly, it's like you probably have, like, statistically there's less rich people than middle class and poor, and you probably have a same ratio of people overdosing on pills. Like the amount of wealthy people that do too many drugs is astronomical too. So the point I'm trying to make, if I'm losing people, is being rich or poor doesn't make you a good or bad person. Being rich or poor doesn't make it a good idea to do drugs or mean you have to do it. And being rich or poor doesn't mean you have to commit violent crimes and it should be justified. But most people are justifying and don't want to talk about our cities. And it's like, there's a huge elephant in the room about the crime that's going on, and nobody wants to say it because they don't want to be perceived a certain way, and they justify it based on race or medium income. So it's going to continue. Anything that's being justified will continue. I don't think it takes authoritarianism to stop it, but it's not being stopped right now under weak Democrat rule. And it's like laughable to me that conservatives think that they could solve it. Like, you think bringing the Second Amendment to Memphis is going to stop the murder rate there? Of course not. I mean, it might help some innocent store owners and stuff, but as far as like, people got to get on their straight and narrow, and the quality of people needs to go up, and the tolerance for this type of evil needs to go down. Like, everybody makes mistakes, everybody's flawed, but to live in a war zone, you know what I'm saying, in America, I don't care about Iran that much. I mean, God bless the people there, but it's like, I'd rather be in an Iranian city than most American cities right now. Not because I want to be in Iran, but if you ask me, would you rather be in Tehran or like Memphis? I'd probably rather go to Tehran. Like, I don't want to go to Memphis. No offense. It's like, I bet you Tehran is safer than Memphis. Does that mean, women are being treated? I mean, it's not my business. But what do you want me to bring feminism there and Jordan Peterson or something? Like, I'm not saying that I want to be in Iran. I don't. But the fact that America is running around the world, like, would I rather go to, I honestly, in any city in the world, I don't want to be like lost on a side street or something. I'm sure Tehran is a nice city because, that's one thing, that a lot of Muslim, not all, but a lot of Muslim countries do better than America. They keep their cities clean and they keep them safe. Not Afghanistan or Iraq or, Lebanon, but, as far as like, I would say Dubai is way safer than American cities. Why? Because Muslims don't play. They're not playing that game. It's like, yeah, you rob, you're done. You know what I'm saying? Like, same with Singapore. It's like, oh, you want to traffic drugs in here? Yeah, you're gonna, like, no. So it's a combo of that and just being realistic about it. It's like, they don't care who you are. You can't do it. In America, it's like, if you're this race, you can do whatever you want and nobody can talk about it. But if you're this race, everything's your fault, and even the chatbots are going to be programmed to hate you. It's like, yeah, things are not going to get better in this country. Why would they? Everybody's lying on television. Republicans are scared to tell the truth. Democrats, all they do is lie. Libertarians don't want to talk about it. Like, yeah, cities are going to stay worse in this country. It doesn't matter who's in power. It's like, the elephant in the room is there's way too much murders going on, and it's been basically normalized by culture, media, and activism. It's been normalized. If you say, like, we should stop the murders in these countries and people need to chill out, people will call you a racist. It's like almost like they want people to die or something. It's like, if I was a quote unquote racist, which doesn't mean anything anymore because everybody just throws it out, wouldn't I be fine with the murder rate in those cities and be like, yeah, that's fine, just people can kill it? Like, no, it's like, no, that's not right that kids are getting murdered. No, that's not right. And yes, it's leaking out all over the place now too. So people are getting, it's starting to expand and become problems all over the place. But like, the real hateful people and the real stupid people are the ones who want it to continue. But here's the thing, culturally, it's like, and no matter who you are, and this is going to be an inspiring message for anybody, if you're watching this and you're white or you're black or you're Asian or you're whatever, I don't even care, wherever you're from, nobody's coming to save you. And if you want to be great in this world and you want to make something happen, you absolutely can. There are people that have made a lot of money and a lot of success and done anything in any field of every race whether you're blacker than the night or whiter than snow, you can do something. It's all about you and what you choose to do in this world. So that's the inspiring message, is anybody can be great. Anybody can do something. But when you listen to society, they try to act like if you're this race, it's fine to kill yourself. It's fine to kill each other. If you're this race, it's fine to do drugs. That's just what you do when you're poor. It's like, it's actually not. You know what I'm saying? Like white people, and I'm not saying there's obviously crossover of different things, but if you look at the thing that's killing most poor white people in this country, it's drugs. And if you look at in the cities, I'm sure drugs are destroying the black community too, but it's a lot of violent crime and murder. And that's just the truth. Look at the rappers that die. Not all of them, but most of them. Like, why did Mac Miller die? Pills. Why did Lil Peep die? Pills. How many rappers have been shot recently and killed that were black? A lot, and they were rich. Why? I thought they got the money. Because it doesn't matter how much money, having money doesn't make you a violent or a peaceful person. And also when you're constantly beefing with your friends and stuff, it's like, you're not fighting the system. If you're mad at like bankers, like, fighting with other rappers isn't going to break the racist system or whatever. It doesn't even make sense. It's like, people got to chill out. Like, regardless of who you are, you got to have accountability and be like, listen, this can't be culturally normal. For rural white people, it needs to stop being culturally normal to overdose and die of pills. But then the music industry's got people normalizing it. On one hand, it's relatable because everybody has done drugs or knows somebody who does drugs. So it's like, I get why it's popular. It's relatable. On another hand, a lot of it's being manufactured to keep it that way. And then you have in rap music, it's like, then you have violence being normalized, and Jamel Hill will never talk about it, and Sean King will never talk about it. It's like they act like it doesn't even exist, which is such a slap in the face of anybody who lives in one of these cities. Because if you live in one of these cities, you know that it's a threat. You know what I'm saying? If you're a gangster rapper, rich or poor, that has a lot of gang enemies and stuff, you might not want to run into the police, but you damn well know if you live on the south side of Chicago and you're gangbanging, that your biggest threat is not the white guy in San Francisco. Your biggest threat is the dude down the block with the gun that's coming after you because you have a different color on. Like, everybody knows that, whether you're a gangbanger in the city or not. Everybody knows that the violent crime is a huge issue. If you're in Los Angeles, it's also like robbery. I mean, I don't know a single person that's gone to Los Angeles and not got robbed recently. My uncle went for a Rams game, got robbed. He got his whole rental car broken into. I was talking to someone the other day. They're getting robbed. Everyone's getting robbed in Los Angeles. It's like, if you live there, someone's probably going to break into your car. Does that make it right? Of course not. But it's like, why is it even happening? It's like normalized to the point where, when do you hear a Democrat politician or a Democrat like celebrity be like, yo, hey, Los Angeles, because they all live in Los Angeles, stop robbing each other. You know what I'm saying? Black, white, stop with the robbery. You know what I'm saying? Stop breaking into cars. Like, how are we going to do this to our own city? You don't even hear, they act like it doesn't exist. The robberies are going up, violent crime is going up, and it doesn't even exist in the Democrat world. And in the Republican world, it's like, they'll talk about it a little bit for sure, but they don't want to obviously sound racist, or it could be anything. It could be the Democrats. Like, yeah, the Democrat cities are worse, but also, there's another elephant in the room statistically that no one wants to talk about. I get it. It doesn't sound good, but at the end of the day, like, pussyfooting around it, I get it. It's not a great topic to dive into, but it's like, then it's just going to continue. Why would it stop when no one wants to talk about it? It's justified in Democratic media. There's a blackout in Republican media. Everybody knows it, but nobody wants to say it. I understand. Why would you want to say it? But it's like, I guess then it's just going to continue, and it's going to be culturally normal. But what I was saying earlier, when immigrants come here, it's not cultural. They're like, we will not do that. Some people will. There's bad eggs in every group. But the reason that in America, I believe that the black community stays in these positions, not everybody, there's millions of people doing great, but in a lot of these cities where the violent crime is high, is because it's culturally accepted. You get in more trouble for speaking out against it than you do for just doing it. So when you have a culture that wants it more than they want to get rid of it, it's going to continue. In the Asian community, I'm not saying there's no gangbanging and bad Asians, there absolutely are, but for the most part, if there's a murder in an Asian neighborhood where an Asian kills an Asian, which happened recently, I believe in California, the whole place is like, what the hell? We all condemn this. Never let this happen again. When it happens in these gangbanging communities, people are like, well, it's that person's fault. We won't want to talk about it. And if anybody brings it up, we'll just call them a racist and basically make excuses for it and justify it. Well, then it's going to continue. And the sad part is, and why I even talk about it, among the fact that I have to live in this country, is the fact of how many innocent people are getting hurt. Not just outside of the city, but the group that you claim to care about the most are the ones taking the most deaths. And it's not just gangbangers, it's kids, it's random people, it's good people. Yeah, I know libertarians won't talk about this because they're too fake. Sorry, I'm about to beef with all libertarian Twitter, but it's like they always post about the cop stuff. Oh, the cops are so corrupt in Memphis, bro. I dare Dave Smith or one of these libertarians go start a bodega in a high crime neighborhood in New York City. Go to Memphis and go to the worst part of the city and start a convenience store. Tell me who treats you like shit. Is it going to be the people who live there, or is it going to be the cops? Dude, these libertarians wouldn't last a second in these cities. Okay, I've watched a bodega in New York City get threatened 3 times in a row. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill you. Dude, it's a war zone for these people, and it's not the police coming after them. So it's like these high and mighty libertarians like, oh my gosh, the police are so corrupt in these bad cities. Bro, you would shit your pants if you had to run a bodega for a week, and you would realize how scary it is to even live in a neighborhood like that. And then ask yourself, when you're living in a neighborhood like that, what's this like for a little black girl who grows up and has to walk to school in this neighborhood? What's it nice for the kid that's 15 that wants to get in the tech community and is a nice kid being raised by his mom and has to live through this shit? What's it like for the good guy who actually, the nice guy down the street who also runs a pizzeria or a Thai spot and has to deal with this shit? And you'll realize, like, yeah, corrupt police are a problem, but the biggest problem in these cities is how psychotic and evil some of the people act and how insane it is, So it's like, I would love for anybody that complains about the police all the time, do it. I'm not Mr. Back the Blue. They're so perfect. The corruption needs to be weeded out of the police, sure. But you're lying to yourself if you think any of the major cities that the police is the number one problem. Go open a bodega in any shitty area of a city and watch how scared you are of how the people treat you. It's insane. You know what I'm saying? And that's what good people have to deal with in those cities. There's millions of good people in those cities, and that's the shit that they deal with every day, but no one wants to talk about it. So are you really helping them? Yeah, you're helping them about as much as if I put up a black fist and tell everybody how nice I am. Like, yeah, oh wow, I'm so nice. But it's like it's a fakeness because nobody wants to address the elephant in the room because it'll make you seem, the word that everyone calls you, but it's not. It's fake niceness. It's like smiling and then, sticking a knife to someone's back when they walk away. It's not. There's nothing nice about the fakeness that's going on with the crime rates in the cities. But yeah, we'll see. Someone said Satan's all around us, for sure. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Someone said stop spreading hate. I don't know if you're talking to me or other people, but it's not that I have zero hate in my heart. If me saying I don't want thousands of people, innocent people, to get killed by their own people only for the media to turn around and act like it doesn't exist because there's no trendy story politically or racially, if that's hate to you, that's sad. Because to me, hate is lying about this topic, ignoring it, and acting like, well, if 30,000 people, innocent people get murdered every year, or whatever the rate is, and like in these cities, but there's no cop or racial angle to be made, let's just completely ignore it and then justify it. That, to me, that's very hateful. That means that you're totally fine with that. And to me, that also, that proves, like, people want to say, oh, you're so racist. Like, are you saying that people of a certain race can't stop murdering? Is that what you're saying? Or that people that don't have a certain financial income because then you're basically a supremacist thinking that rich people and other races are like better than other ones, and they hold the tools to stop doing that. Like, if another group's poor, they're not going to kill each other, or if this group is wealthier, then their wealth makes them better. I don't think that wealth or race makes you a good person. I think the content of your character makes you who you are, and the content of everybody's character and actions makes a community a community. If you live in a city of 1 million people and nobody kills each other, you live in a low crime city because the content of everybody's character is out. If you live in a city where the crime rate's astronomical, that means a net sum of the people there, not everyone, are making it a bad city. So there's nothing to do with hating people. I actually believe that people can do better because I know they do better. I've seen them do better, and a bigoted stance to say otherwise, unless you just want to admit that it's like, oh no, that can never be fixed. Like, oh, it's just, it's done forever. It's like, it's kind of messed up. But if you believe that, then if that's really what you believe, that like that'll never get better and people are incapable of that, I don't believe that. But if you believe that, then you got to give people the leeway of being like, well, I don't want to live there. If you think it's never, like, I don't want to live somewhere where people can't stop doing that. Like, why would I, you know, there's an old saying, it's like you want people to love your neighbor, have a good relationship with your neighborhood, have some sort of like, okay, if someone breaks into your house when you're on vacation, I got your back, this and that. Everybody wants a good neighbor no matter where you live. But if you tell people like, oh, this neighborhood, the neighbors are never going to be good, then it's like, well, people have the right to not want to be around it then. Or we can address the issue and be like, no, that's wrong. It's fixable. But the way to fix it is to stop justifying it. And a lot of this goes back. I had a great chat with Chad Jackson, you know, who was really studied like the 1900s, etc. And a lot of this also goes back to the psyop of it. Like if you watch on a whatever Black History Month and stuff, like I'm watching like little clips on like UFC, and you know there's some good stuff, like fighters doing great stuff, but a lot of it they're always saying like, remember how bad it was, remember how bad this was. Like I understand where it's like, okay, like don't go back there, but like remember, but they're almost programming people to believe that this is like the pivotal peak moment for Black people in the world and that nothing has ever been better than now. But if you look at the situation a lot of people are in, it's not good, and statistically it's not better. I prefer people that say we were kings and talks about pyramids and stuff, because then at least you have pride in building something and creating something and understanding that your history isn't all dark, because it's actually not. And even in like the 1900s, they don't tell you the real history because they don't want you to know that people own things, they own farms, they own land, they own businesses, they had Black schools. They don't want you to understand that Black people were crushing in the early 1900s, because then you would realize they're lying. So everything's like, remember the bad, remember the bad. It's so good now. It's so I mean, look at Black singers in the 60s and 70s versus now. They were crushing. You know what I'm saying? They had a great message, a message of family, a moral message. And now the music industry of all groups, but you know, it's totally immoral. So they want to tell us, oh, it's so much better for everybody of every race right now. Some things are. I'm very grateful to be here, but if you look at the music industry, I mean, honestly, the music is disgusting. Look at the top 20 songs on Billboard. It's diversity of filth. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be all sorts of artists of every race, religion, and it's all disgusting. You know what I'm saying? The charts is filled with more. Go back to the charts 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You have Black artists and white artists, but the message was better. The song was probably better too. So it's like, you know, they want to convince everybody that this is the best you've ever had it, while the people that are making it worse are the ones that are controlling it. Like that, it's basically like another group controlling what your history means to use it against you, to control you in the present moment. I have no problem going over the great Black people of history. It's just the way the liberal media and the way everybody's doing it now is to control you in the present. Like, you know, if I were to run a Black History ad, it's like, hey, it's Black History Month. Let's expose the music industry and how terrible and immoral it's been to not just Black America, but all of Americans, where it's like, you know, the family rate used to be higher. The, you know, community used to be better. People used to own more land. And ever since we've basically destroyed you with our fake social justice movements in the 60s and 70s, now all these rates have gone back. And now what we're doing with the music industry to the Black community is evil and wicked. And in order to, you know, really make Black America better, we need to stop all the degeneracy and evil in the music industry, and telling people that this is their culture when it never really was their culture. We basically like just brainwash people into thinking that this is who they are when it never is who they are. We don't even tell them where they're really from or the real. That would be a nice Black History Month message to me and my Black friends that are smart and not under that control. You know, not like letting like billionaire media moguls tell you what your history was and tell you where you're going and control where you're going. It's all a psyop. It's not to say you can't celebrate the great people in history, but that's not what they're doing. They're basically telling you, oh yeah, it was so horrible then, and here we're making it so good for you now. Is it? Is Memphis getting better? People are complaining about it. They're saying how corrupt and bad it is. Maybe it is better than it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not though. And if it's not, it's okay. But it's like, why are we going to let the people making it worse tell us what our real history is? Someone said, why is it so much you worry about them? Well, I mean, I would say this is not even a topic I talk about all the time, but if you look at the crime statistics for what the murder rate is, it's astronomical. That's just a fact. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to live in a country that's just going to shit. Is that okay or no? I don't know. I mean, it even goes with robbery. I don't know the statistics of the robbery, but like I don't want to live in Los Angeles. It's disgusting to me. I don't know what the demographic of of like petty robbery is. I have no idea because I haven't looked it up. But I don't really care. I don't want to live in a city where it's common to get broken into. Why do I care? I used to love Los Angeles and it's getting destroyed. I used to love New York City and it's filthy. San Francisco used to be amazing. Our country's disgusting, and it's like you got to just basically hide out in the suburbs or somewhere nice in order to experience a decent life. Which is what I'm not going to those cities. I don't even go to LA. I have a friend who's a rapper who's got a nice like mansion or whatever, a studio. I might go one time. He's like, yo, you got to come to my spot. And I told him, it's nothing to do with you, my guy. I retired from LA. I don't go there. There's nothing I really want there. I could do everything remote. I put my money where my mouth is. So why do I care? I mean, I would rather not have like no-go zones in America. You go to some other countries, no matter what the, poverty rate is and the people, it's not like that. It's not normal. I don't want to normalize violent crime. I don't, we're supposed to be getting so much better and so much more civilized. Like, it's going to exist. I'm not saying it's going to be at zero, but when everything's trending in the wrong direction, it's like, and it's leaking out into everywhere. Yeah, I care about it. Not just, that angle of it, just the fact that it's happening. I just find it interesting outside of even demographics or race, like objectively, Los Angeles is getting worse. Okay. I used to live there. I lived there for 8 years. Okay. And I was broke. I had nothing. I worked all the time. I didn't have a car in LA for 8 years. I lived there for 8 years and I took the bus and the train through bad neighborhoods all the time to work. Okay. I'm fine. Okay. I never got robbed. I mean, it wasn't like the safest thing I've ever done in my life. It wasn't that bad now. It's like 10 times worse than it was. And I know people who go to LA for 3 days and they get broken into. It's just like robbery central. Am I wrong for but no one wants to talk about that. There's so much activism in NFL, but they don't want to talk about that. Here's a message for the LA Rams. Hey, we're the Los Angeles Rams, and Los Angeles is becoming a total shithole, and everybody's getting robbed all the time, except for us because we're rich and have private security. Hey, Los Angeles, we don't care who you are, black, white, gay, straight. We're liberals and Democrats, but stop robbing people and let's have a zero tolerance crime for robbery because no one wants to live in a neighborhood where your shit gets stolen all the time. There's a message for the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, they never say that, do they? LeBron never said. It's like they act as if it's not happening around them, and I don't want to live around people who act like it's not happening. And then when you try to stop crime or petty theft, people are like, "Oh, what are you, racist?" Well, no. What are you saying? That you think it's normal for like you're normalizing violent crime and robbery in cities where it was never that bad? Like, how does that make you an activist? What type of who are you helping with that? You're not even helping the criminals because honestly, a life of crime is not a long-term solution. So it's not like you're even helping the people stealing stuff because eventually they get caught and their lives are ruined whether they go to jail or not. It's like, like who on the planet are you possibly helping? So why do I care about this stuff? Why wouldn't you? I don't know. It's like, I'm not going to cry about it like it's the worst thing ever, but it would be nice. And this is what I'm trying to talk about with Black History. And not just Black History, but I'm just saying Black History Month is a month where we reflect on how much better it's getting. It's like if every city is slowly just degrading and getting provably worse. And everybody, whether you're black or white and you drive a car in LA, it doesn't matter what color you are. You have a higher chance of getting robbed than you did a year or two ago. So if you're black in Los Angeles or white in Los Angeles, why would you want to live in a city where people's cars are getting broken into all the time? It doesn't make any sense. But the point I was trying to get to, I don't even remember what I was talking about because I got thrown off after that. But it's like people do more work to make that normal. Like, oh, that's so normal. What, like, that's the world, that's the country you want to live in? Oh, I remember what I was saying. They try to tell us that it's getting so much better. Look at history, it's so much better. But it's getting provably worse for people of all races in all these mainstream areas. So my point is, let's use some of the message to actually make the country better. How are you going to hold history over our heads and tell us how great it's getting when it's actually getting worse in a lot of places? And people are mentioning places they live where people don't get broken into. I know. I live in a community that it's not that bad. Obviously, like things do get broken into, people steal bikes, etc. But for the most part, dude, I know it's possible. There's still a lot of places in the country where it's not happening. But the people that live in the cities are like, yeah, this is fine. It's like, whatever. Then build a wall around the city and keep it there because nobody else wants to deal with that crap. But it's like they use history as this huge psyop of like, oh, look how bad it used to be and it's getting so great. It's good. Aren't you so happy? And like everybody watching the propaganda is like, no, I'm not happy because everything else is telling me to be so unhappy. It's not like, oh, this is a utopia in America now. Crime's going down. Everybody's happy. Everyone's blending together. Their message of history is basically like division. It's so much better now, except it's so much worse now. It's so much better than it used to be, except it's not, except racism's at an all-time high, except that, Martin Luther King solved all those things, except they didn't. Now watch Disney Channel and we'll tell you how freaking terrible it all. Like, it's like this message of like, oh, we've made so much progress and it's so amazing, yet it's more racist than it's ever been and it's so terrible. And you need to like have all this racial angst inside you. It's like, it's a conflicting message. It's like, yeah, some things are better, some things are worse, but my point is the reason that crime and theft continues is because, one, it's not just the police or defunding. I mean, that's part of it being weak on crime. It's the quality of people. And it's like the culture is justifying that. The culture is saying it's fine. It's really a dark message. But God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back. Real quick before I leave, I just wanted to say, thank you to everybody supporting on patreon.com/raretalk. I appreciate that. It really keeps everything alive. Patreon.com/raretalk. We lose some people at the beginning of the month because I think that's when they charge you. So thank you. Hopefully a few more people sign up to that. Facebook supporters, thank you to everybody who signs up to that. And dreamrare.com, we have more black beanies. So check out dreamrare.com. Thank you to everybody watching, listening on the podcast. Even though the live stream numbers are down on Facebook, my YouTube numbers are going up, my Insta numbers are going up, even my Facebook streams are going up and stuff just after the live. So, and our podcast, we're cracking like a certain amount that we've never cracked before on all the audio listens. So thank you guys. We're trending in the right direction. Have a good day, and I'll be back tomorrow.